We never know where life will lead us or what may hinder us along the way. But while every day can feel like one big question mark, it doesn't have to. With the right insights, strategies, and solutions from Western and Southern Financial Group, together we can look ahead to leave the unknown behind.
What's Pro Football Focus doing? Last week they had Brady. This week they got Brady.
We're literally doing it differently from everybody else.
As a matter of fact, moving forward from this point on, I will not make reference to PFF.
Do you not understand that they are that way because you're Joe Flacco?
And you just like to discredit things that people deserve credit for.
That you can't possibly be expected to defend that.
Talk about the game, Sam.
So,
who cares about what people think about us?
Yeah, I like football season, and all the things that go with
it. Welcome into the PFF NFL Podcast. Steve Palazzolo back here with Sam Monson, and it's your day, man. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you.
St. Patty's Day.
Yeah, D, not
Patty
T.
with a D.
Yeah.
Can you explain why? Just
why?
What it is.
Because that's how you shorten Patrick.
Everybody does it P-A-T-T.
Well, they're wrong.
Okay.
Patrick is shortened to Patty.
Okay, cool. That's it.
Because
everybody
Irish,
spell it right. Now, everybody on the PFF NFL Podcast, all of our millions of fans and listeners here, will get that right forever.
Well, in Irish, Patrick is it's P-A-D-R-A-I-G. It's
right, like Harrington.
Yes, right. So it's a D. It's not a T.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. I mean, I get it, but I think it took you telling me.
Okay.
Helping me.
Yeah. No. Make sure you get that right.
We have a TikTok out there. Is that what you told me? I need to go.
There's a TikTok out there. Yeah.
What is it?
It's just a little behind the scenes of the studio and stuff.
Okay, cool.
I've decided, by the way, I'm not going to
TikTok.
be bullied into wearing a hat or a helmet for the entire show. I'm gonna keep going with the ball.
Can we get a solo? Let me see that.
Are we shiny? I see it's less
Not
shiny
too bad.
today.
What'd you do differently?
I mean, this is just 24 hours worth of stubble growth. I think
Stubble growth
is affecting the shine.
There's probably like one light we could kill.
There's probably like 8 lights we could kill and still be fine. There's 15 of them here.
We'll get the stage manager on it and
the stage manager.
Yeah, stage manager.
Is that Chaz?
Yeah. Chaz, play around with the lights. Just not here. Not right. Not yet. Not live on the show here.
Play around with them live. Just get the step ladder. Just do what you need to do.
All right,
hang on. There's one. That's gone. Was that intentional or is that just a blown bulb?
Oh, we're probably down a bulb here.
Okay.
So this is a fun show. Here's what we're going to do. We got 3 days of free agency that have happened, one official day.
Sure.
And we're going to go through all 32 teams. This one's actually quick. We're just going to give our answers, a little bit of context around it, but our favorite and least favorite moves of free agency.
Yeah.
Before we get into it, don't forget all of our charity drives. We're going head-to-head. You could see me do combine drills, which I'm going to start training for.
You're still rolling with that. You're not.
We're going with combine drills.
You're not up in the offer.
Yeah. Combine drills.
Okay.
Combine drills versus your Jackson Mahomes TikTok. Both raising money. We'll have the link in the YouTube if you want to contribute. Also on our pinned tweet at PFF_Sam, at PFF_Steve. Both raising money head-to-head. Both trying to get to $2,500 first. And I'm hoping I win.
Sure.
Even though I'm working from behind here.
Yeah.
It's a GoFundMe. Is there a direct way that what's the best way to?
I keep telling, pin tweets, and they'll be in the description.
People want
to
hey, what's the link? If you go to the GoFundMe, if you search PFF NFL Podcast, you'll get to mine.
Yeah, I mean,
but we have some coming back to do. Steve fans out there, and Heritage House fans.
Trust me when I tell you, the easiest way of
back.
finding this is to just go to our Twitter accounts and go to the pin tweet for each.
It
person.
is the easiest way to do it.
There are other ways of doing it.
Go to my account,
but this will be the easiest.
In my pinned tweet
at PFF_Sam or at PFF_Steve. It will be the first tweet on the feed. That's the easiest way of getting to the GoFundMe.
All right. So we got that out of the way. Thank you for supporting the podcast. Thank you for supporting two of our favorite charities here. And then before we get into it, the PFF NFL Podcast is sponsored by Western and Southern Financial Group. While you focus on your roster moves, Western and Southern helps advance your money moves. Buying your first home, planning to start a family, wondering how to make your money grow? Well, Western and Southern's playbook of life insurance, investment, and retirement solutions helps you rest assured on game day. Team up to understand needs and address goals with a game plan built just for you. Get started at westernsouthern.com/PFF. All right, man. You want to go team by team here?
Sure.
All right. Our favorite and least favorite moves. Did you fill anything in on this document? No.
What document?
I sent you a link to a document with a list of the teams in
no.
case you wanted to type them in. So you've got them. I know you've got your list. You just didn't put them in the same places.
It's in the big shiny head.
Beautiful.
Where did you send this?
In our Slack chat, Sam.
No, you didn't.
I did.
I have
let's
no
check.
link in
Did
my...
I send? I said, did you start tracking these anywhere? Google Doc, labeled podcast doc.
That's not in my Slack.
Interesting. Slack is slacking here today. It's got to be a Slack issue. Because I can show you on mine. I can still see it.
I mean, I can show you mine. It's not there.
I go to the place where we put the games in, podcast doc.
Uh-huh.
You can use that. And the third page called Sheet 7, you can go over there.
That's great.
Yeah.
Didn't get that.
It's good podcasting here. But you know the document, so you can get in there.
Yeah.
Those are the teams we'll go through in order. So we're going to start in the AFC East because that's what we always do. Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
Favorite and least favorite move for the Buffalo Bills. I know which one you liked there.
I liked multiple.
Same
moves.
as I like a lot of what they're doing.
Okay. Well, my favorite one is the Tim Settle move.
Yeah, agreed.
2 years, $9 million. That's a steal. Tim Settle is one of those guys where he's still 24, 25, something like that. Still very, very young. Has been buried on that Washington depth chart. I think he's capable of a lot more than he's been given the opportunity to show so far in his NFL career. A massive nose tackle style of player immediately upgrades the Buffalo run defense simply by his presence, and you're giving him the opportunity, presumably, to show more, right? So maybe he isn't capable of anything more than we've seen so far. And even if that's true, it's a good move because it addresses an area you were struggling with last year. And if he is, it's potentially like an absolute steal because he's being paid hardly anything.
5th round. So he's my favorite move as well. So I'll agree with you, and I'll just add on to that with Tim Settle. 5th round pick, developmental prospect, and still only played 1,000 snaps over 4 years.
Right.
Graded in the green by PFF grades as a pass rusher each of the last 2 years. So I like the Settle move for the Bills. Do you have a least favorite move? Sometimes the least favorite moves are going to be challenging because not every team has a terrible one or anything like that. Do you have a least favorite move, though, for the Bills?
Yeah, or they're going to be...
or like what teams didn't do yet or whatever.
Or players that they lost, I think, is going to be quite a theme.
You're going to say the same as me again.
No, I'm going to go with re-signing Jake Kumaro because, you know, what's the point?
I mean, I think it'll be okay.
I mean, it'll be fine, but that's an indication of where the Bills are, right? Their least favorite move is simply a move that, who cares? Why? Yeah. Why bother?
I'm going to go. So I know Von Miller, by the way, was the big splash move.
Sure.
We did like that move as well. We do have a full PFF NFL Daily on that.
Yep.
And a reminder, if you subscribe to the Daily, or if you don't subscribe to the Daily, you go do it right now because it's our other show. And I think it's great, and it's quick hitting. It's not as long-winded as this one. About 10 minutes a day. Don't make a face. It's about 10 minutes a day. And if you send me a screenshot, I will be giving out a free PFF Edge subscription probably by the end of next week or the week after. So I have some screenshots coming in. A screenshot at NFL Podcast at PFF.com that you subscribe to the Daily and the PFF NFL Podcast. But on the Daily, we talked about the Von Miller move. We liked it. The only thing I don't necessarily like, and I know the move probably had to be made to free up some of the space for the Von Miller deal, the losing Darrell Williams on the defensive line. So as of right now, Williams has played offensive line. Yeah, sorry. Thank you. Thanks for correcting me when I needed it. Yeah. I'm good to be corrected when needed. Darrell Williams is a good guard and a good tackle. Last year kicks into guard a little bit, so rookie Spencer Brown could play tackle. But anyway, Darrell Williams leaves a gaping hole at right guard. You're left with Cody Ford, who has not panned out as a former second-round pick. It's not insurmountable, but again, you're just losing a good player that you need to release. So I understand it probably needed to happen, but that would be the move or the thing that's happened to the Bills that I like the least.
Yep.
All right, Miami Dolphins. What do you like about the Miami Dolphins and what they've done?
I guess the move that I like the most is probably signing Connor Williams. I think Connor Williams is one of the most unnecessarily downtrodden players in the NFL. He gets a bad rap, even from, I was going to say his own supporters, but they're not anymore, Dallas Cowboys fans. Dallas Cowboys fans hated Connor Williams because he's got all the hallmarks, right? First round pick, right?
Second round.
Second round.
Yep.
Top of the second round, or a guy that had potential sort of first round talent at the time.
Yep.
Top of the second round, so high draft pick that never quite lived up to it, is being compared to a bunch of first round picks who all ended up being all pros on that offensive line. Is not the best player in the world, right? Isn't the best guard on the planet. And because of that, we focus entirely on what he doesn't do well, or his negatives, or the bad plays that he has. And there are some, right? But you have to look at the context needs to be guard play throughout the NFL, not guard play on the Dallas Cowboys offensive line, right? Which is arguably the best offensive line in the NFL. So when you look throughout the rest of the league, Connor Williams is a pretty good guard. Who loses? Sure. But like, you could have Connor Williams, or you could have what Miami had the last couple of years. It's a massive upgrade. And it wouldn't just be for Miami. Like Cincinnati, rolling, Hakeem Adeniji out there, or Jackson Carman. Like, Connor Williams would upgrade a lot of teams in the NFL. And to get him for 2 years, $14 million, great move.
Yeah, I mean, I used to have this argument with Saints fans all the time when they remember right tackle Zach Strief.
Sure.
He was always one of our highest graded tackles. And they were like, oh, we hate Zach Strief. I'm like, he's like a top 5 right tackle. You don't understand right tackle play. Perspective's important there.
And that was back when right tackle play was kind of down.
It was bad. It was like
left.
Mitchell Schwartz, Zach Strief, and like one other dude,
right.
Whoever it was at the time. Probably Morgan Moses. Anyway, it was that's my favorite move as well, Connor Williams. I do like the total.
You want to maybe mix this up a little bit?
If you had used my document, you would not have copied
maybe
my
I
first.
would have if the message had come through to my Slack.
All right. Well, if Slack, you guys can sponsor us too if you want, but you got to get it together today.
If you've actually put these in your document, how about you lead off so that we don't repeat every move?
Well, no, I got distracted. I didn't fill in the rest.
Okay, perfect.
So I got them all in my noggin as well.
Okay.
Anyway, I like the Dolphins, what they're doing in totality. Mm-hmm. So I'll go with the running back situation. I like the 2 contracts that they signed. Yeah.
Wow.
Chase Edmonds and Raheem Mostert.
Okay.
I don't think it's not back-breaking money for 2 running backs. And I think Edmonds and Mostert in this system where you presumably in a Shanahan system, you'll have a little bit more space to run, and they'll create – they're explosive players, especially Mostert. So I like what they did at the running back position. Also, signing those 2 guys, it'll keep Miami from drafting a running back because, Dolphins fans want them to draft a running back every year. So
the Chase Edmonds move is my least favorite move for Miami.
Okay, that's fine.
Because why? Why?
It's not ridiculous money or anything.
It doesn't have to be. Like, the point is this, again, I do not understand.
But you're not going to use like every penny of your cap.
I don't understand the paradox of the Shanahan system being the case study of why you do not need to invest anything in the running back position.
This is a minimal investment.
And yet being first in line to invest in the running back position every single year. Kyle Shanahan has done this like every year. They draft a guy in the 2nd or 3rd round, or they go and invest in free agency with like Jerick McKinnon or whatever. And then every year, it's the guy they didn't put any resources into at all who leads that team in rushing, and everyone is like, wins people fantasy leagues and is the darling and is, oh, this guy's going to be amazing going forward. Like, you are literally proving every single year to stop investing in it.
This is a minimal investment.
Okay, Raheem Mostert, 1 year, $3 million. Fine, right? You also have Myles Gaskin, who, frankly, behind the offensive line he was running behind, did a pretty good job last year. You can draft somebody in the 5th or 6th round every year and be grand. What is the point in giving Chase Edmonds $12.6 million, including $6 million guaranteed?
That's not too much.
It's not too much, but it's like if you come out, if you leave the building, right, and you accidentally lose $20 out of your pocket, it just flies away. It's only $20. On the other hand, dumbass, why did you just throw $20 in the air and set fire to it? Like, you don't need to do that.
Chase Edmonds is a $20 bill that flies away.
Yes. It's just didn't need to do it.
Well, my least favorite move by the Dolphins is way more than $20. It's Emmanuel Ogbah for 4 years, $65 million.
Okay.
Ogba's a good player. He's been a late bloomer, which is fine. Maybe this is what he is as a player. He's coming off a career high 77 PFF grade overall. That is in year 6 of his career. Also had a career high pass rush grade, 71. 10 sack guy each of the last 2 years, but it hasn't matched up with the actual pass rush grade. We loved Ogbah coming out of Oklahoma State and thought he was a very good pass rusher back in the 2016 draft. So we finally kind of got there in 2021. Ogba's one of those players. I like him if he's making, $6 or $7 million a year or low-end edge money. I don't like him if he's making high-end edge money. So I don't love that move for the Dolphins, given the edge market.
Okay.
All right, let's go New England Patriots. Is there I don't have anything written down here for this, so it could be.
Okay.
I might copy.
Well, they haven't done much, so.
It's okay for us to agree on stuff, too.
Yes. It's less okay if we agree on everything.
We're just 2 for 2 so far.
That's not great.
Why do you love
radio.
Matthew Slater as the top move?
Yeah, I don't. That's not the one I would go with.
Patriots bring their core back. On offense, James White. Defense, Devin McCourty. Special teams, Matthew Slater.
Okay, I will go with James White. 2 years, $5 million. Includes $500,000 guaranteed. That's what I'm talking about. If you are going to invest in the running back position, it should be almost nothing. And they've invested almost nothing in James White,
True, that's
who has been a very valuable part of that offense, particularly as a pass catcher. So that's the kind of running back move I can get behind.
I guess I like bringing Devin McCourty back for 1 year, $9 million. Still a good player.
$9 million.
What else are you going to do with the $9 million this year?
I don't know, but he's a very old guy now.
He's very old. He's still one of the better safeties in the league. It's a good play. It's a good play for the Patriots. What don't you like about New England?
I don't like letting J.C. Jackson walk. I understand the arguments. Bill Belichick's always a year early. They're pivoting defense to his own heavy scheme, blah, 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 blah. Don't care.
Blah, blah, blah,
J.C.
blah,
Jackson is one of the better corners in the NFL who is a ball hawk in any system, who makes a material difference to whatever coverage you're running, and your cornerbacks right now are Jalen Mills and Terrence Mitchell. That's not good.
No. My issue with the Patriots right now, so the thing I definitely don't like that they did was trading Shaq Mason for a 5th rounder. I think that's a pretty
don't like that either.
Obvious one. He's one of the best guards in the league, and you got a 5th rounder for him, right?
That's the part that's my problem with it, the 5th rounder. The trading him away, all right. I mean, you've got Michael Owenu. They've got a pretty good track record of next guy up on the offensive line, and they have a next guy up literally sitting on the bench waiting for his chance. Getting a 5th rounder back from him, I don't understand.
Now, supposedly, that's not showing up in the cap space yet because that's not official because he hasn't passed a physical because he's on a cruise or something. So I think we're going to see right now, per over the cap, the Patriots on the lower end as far as effective cap space goes. This will move them up to the higher end once this thing goes through. I'm assuming that's not a part of this. The other one thing I don't love about the Patriots is reiterating what they did last year, the investment that they made.
You can't have that as your thing you don't like. Last year's spending spree.
Yes, last year's spending spree.
Stop it.
The fact that all of last year's free agents are making more than guys I would prefer to sign this year.
No, you can't do that. Stop. That doesn't qualify.
Of course it does.
What is your least
Shaq.
favorite move the Patriots have made this offseason? What they did a year ago.
Yeah.
No, you can't. No. That's against the
Massive
rules.
cap hits on last year's free agent class.
No.
All right. This is a quick hitting show. We're through 3 teams. That's the Patriots. Let's go New York Jets. What do you like about the Jets moves?
I would say signing both tight ends. Let's put them together. C.J. Uzama and Tyler Conklin as a duo.
Me.
You're going with that as well?
I was thinking about it, but Conklin's making a lot more money than I had expected. So
I thought he showed well last year. Last year he was a guy who made himself a lot of money a season ago. Wasn't supposed to be a thing, and then Irv Smith gets hurt. I think that's the fancy ass camera we've got there that tracks left to right.
The camera?
I believe so.
It sounds like a creaking door.
Doesn't sound
Somebody
great.
sneaking in on us here.
It's been making more and more noise as time goes on, and now it's making weird creaking sounds when it hits the end of that rail. Anyway, Conklin got an opportunity with Irv Smith getting injured, and I think showed well. So I like it.
Yeah, I like the idea of the two tight ends, right? And I'm going to go with the Jets. I like the totality of what they've done as well. So I'm going to say I like that the Jets are filling their needs in free agency. What? We can't. It doesn't have to be a specific move.
Do you understand the concept of this show?
What's your favorite?
What's your favorite move the Jets have made?
My favorite move is all of the moves that they've
philosophical
done.
totality of everything they've done in the last few days.
Yeah, wait till you get to the Texans and you got to pick one. All right,
that's the deal.
All right,
you suck at this.
Let's go Laken Tomlinson.
Okay,
I like Laken Tomlinson.
All right,
he'll play guard. You have Elijah Vera Tucker at the other guard spot. You all of a sudden, remember, we're 2 years removed from the Jets having multiple years of disasters on the offensive line, and all of a sudden they look like a unit that could be in the top half of the league as far as offensive line goes. And Tomlinson's got familiarity with the system. and then the overall strategy of the Jets to fill their needs in free agency and go into the draft with the flexibility to draft ballers, I like that.
Okay.
Ballers.
Ballers.
How's that sound?
Yeah.
Speaking of drafted ballers, you could do that with our friends over at All 22.
You don't want to hit the least favorite things?
Oh, man. I do.
Okay. You want to do before or after?
Speaking of our least favorite moves, let's go back to the Jets, and then I'll smoothly transition back to our friends at All 22.
Okay. All right.
What's your least favorite move for the Jets?
I mean, the Joe Flacco thing would be obvious. I don't love letting Marcus May walk. I understand he signed for a decent amount of money. That secondary needs all the help it can get, and at times it felt like, Marcus May being the sort of kindergarten teacher trying to marshal all these kids that are drafted in the 5th round or lower. He's versatile. He can play in any defensive scheme. I just think that you have a ton of money. That feels like one that it was worth investing in.
You replaced him with Jordan Whitehead. I think Whitehead might be not a better fit, but he'll fit into the defense, I think, extremely well. I mean, there's a lot of good moves here. There's not a lot to not like. I guess the Flacco thing, re-signing him on a 1-year deal. And this is because I like your philosophy, right? Like, give me a backup who at least might be good. Like, there's like some unknown to my backup. There could be extra value there. Or you just have a little bit more faith when he gets into the game. I think Joe Flacco at this point in his career, not so much.
What are we going to be talking about now?
Our friends at All 22? That's it. Do not draft Joe Flacco on your All 22 team next year. Unveiling the new fantasy football game that hundreds of PFF employees have been playing. I know our millions of listeners are going to be in on this game because All 22 uses weekly PFF grades as one of its main scoring components and tests your ability to build a full 53-man roster, including your offensive line. If you've ever dreamt of sitting in an NFL front office, if you enjoy the scouting process, you want to go check out All 22, and here's how you do that. You can join the waitlist at all-22.com with nothing more than your email. If you join the waitlist before the NFL draft, you'll get a special promo code for an All 22 subscription. Waitlist users also gain access to premium content like inaugural draft guides, in-season strategies, feature release announcements, and more. So be sure to follow at all22_PFF on Twitter. All 22, less fantasy, more football. It is premium fantasy football powered by PFF. As you can see on the screen here at YouTube, we've been waiting for this for years now, and it's finally going to be upon us here in the 2022 season. So appreciate everybody for joining us there. Once again, join that waitlist, all-22.com. All right, who's next on my list here? Cleveland Browns. We're going through the AFC North.
What? How can the Cleveland Browns be next?
Oh, I just kind of typed it off the top of my head, so it's not going to be in perfect
So it's
order.
random-ass order.
Do you want me to go on the order that you're looking at? Okay. Baltimore Ravens.
Okay.
We'll go by the order here.
Well, they haven't done much, so there's not much to choose
I'll start.
from.
My favorite is signing Morgan Moses for 3 years, $15 million.
Shocker. Yeah.
Can I give Morgan Moses context why I like that?
God. Sure.
What? The dude hasn't missed a game ever.
Hasn't missed a game ever.
I don't think he's missed a start since he became a starter in 2015.
Good.
And look, I like Morgan Moses because he's not great. He's very good. He's good.
Morgan Moses because he's not.
He just
great.
grades in the green. He's just a green grade guy.
Can we get a quote graphic for that? I like Morgan Moses.
Not
because
great,
He's
he's
not
good.
Great.
I like not great, good players on my offensive line.
All right.
He's graded in the green every single year since he became a starter in 2015. And he's durable. He's good in the run game. He's a good pass blocker. He's actually a better run blocker than the great Ali Villanueva, so probably a better fit for the Ravens. And he's actually played right tackle.
That was the one thing Villanueva was okay at last year.
I know that, but Moses is going to be even better. So
Okay.
it's my favorite move.
I like bringing back Zadarius Smith. 4-year, $35 million. That's not an awful lot.
Yeah, when you look at, again, there's the perspective thing. Like, I didn't love the Emmanuel Ogba thing, which is up to $60 million.
And
For
Zadarius
probably
is
a lesser player.
Zadarius is a couple of years removed from leading the NFL in total pressures, which was a complete outlier for him. A career year in Green Bay, it's better than he'd ever done in Baltimore by a distance. And then he backed it up the next year. He wasn't quite the same, didn't lead the league in pressures, et cetera, but had another really good pass rushing year. And then this season, got injured, missed basically the entirety of the season, got back for 20 ineffective snaps in the playoffs or whatever. But if he's healthy now, it's not just the 1 year. If it was 1 year of random, crazy career performance from Zadarius, you'd be like, yeah, I don't know about that. But he did back it up with the second one, which makes me feel a lot better about what he can do this year.
Yeah, Zadarius Booth, it's a good one. Is there a move you don't like out of the three things they've done is signed Morgan Moses, brought back Zadarius Smith, and then signed Marcus Williams to a 5-year, $70 million contract with $37 million guaranteed.
Well, and potentially losing guys. I mean, that's obviously the thing every year with Baltimore. So as of yet, Bradley Bozeman is still out there, right?
Yeah.
I don't love that. I would bring him back.
But they're always well, here's the other thing that you could say you like about them. Morgan Moses, Zadarius Smith got released, so that doesn't affect the all-important comp pick math that the Ravens dominate. Marcus Williams and Morgan Moses might. I know Marcus Williams will. So they're always shrewd there. Bozeman trying to replace him up front. Mm-hmm. But if they do what I said and draft Tyler Linderbaum in the first round, they'll be okay.
If they do what I said, they'll be okay.
My only issue with the Marcus, I like Marcus Williams a lot as a player. Is that too much money for him? Up to $70 million,
It's a lot of money,
guaranteed. That'd be the only thing I might question a little bit, the safety market. But I like what the Ravens have done overall. Do we talk about the Ravens enough? Is that okay? They're doing good stuff. Good work, Ravens. You guys always do really good off-season work. Is that good?
Sure.
The only other thing to maybe not like is I think they've got more needs up front. Calais Campbell's gone up front, but the whole front seven probably needs an influx of talent, so that needs to happen at some point. And they might go into the draft with more needs than preferred. All right, who's next here? Cincinnati Bengals. What do you like, Sam?
My favorite move is probably the Alex Kappa deal. It's decent money. It's more the methodology that I really like. I like that Alex Kappa, I think, would be a sort of top of tier 2 type of free agent, a guy that usually goes on day 2 or 3 after the initial flurry. The fact that they announced that like a minute into the free agency, that's the one they went and prioritized. They didn't – usually teams they all flock around those tier 1 guys and there's a giant bidding war, and then you're like, oh, crap, we didn't get him. Like, we missed out on Brandon Scherf. Let's go to the next one and the next one, right? And it kind of goes down the chain. The Bengals just went, screw it. We're not spending all that money on Brandon Scherf. We're going to divvy out that money throughout a couple of offensive linemen. And they went and prioritized Alex Kappa, got it locked up, got it done, and then just announced it. I really like that way of doing business to attack a massive area of need.
That is a concept, right? Essentially getting 2 offensive linemen for maybe the price of 1 as far as Scherf goes. That I love.
Yeah.
So I'll say the Ted Karras deal I liked. Center guard flexibility. He's always been a productive player. This is like the Matt Filer of the draft class here. I think Filer was the guy that was going to make $6 to $8 million. He made like $8 million last year for the Chargers and gave you probably $12 million worth of production at that position. I think Karras has a chance to do that, whether they play him at center or at guard. So I like both guard moves for the Bengals. You take Kappa. I take Ted Karras. Anything you don't like about the Cincinnati Bengals so far?
So this one's fudging it a little bit because it's a move they haven't made, and it's a move that it's not even like retaining somebody. It's for the reported asking price of Lyle Collins. They should have made that trade already. Like, the Cowboys are desperately trying to get rid of him for anything. Like, any trade at this point sounds like it would get that done. And at that point, yes, there's probably more to it than is out there in the public sphere.
I mean, I know that there's more to it.
Of course.
Depending on – this was – when Lyle Collins was coming out of the draft, let's just say some teams had him off their boards because of a medical issue.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not that still applies 5 years later, I don't know.
Right.
But let's just say that.
Yes. And there are the Cowboys are reportedly essentially done with him and think that there's an area of his physical makeup that's shot. On the other hand, he played well last year. So that doesn't necessarily jive. Yes, this is the thing that might cause problems down the line. On the other hand, as long as he's playing well right now, who cares? And if you're trading, this is like the Calais Campbell thing, right? If it costs you like a 6th-round pick to get him, like, who gives a crap? A 6th-round pick is nothing. If he gives you 1 year of decent right tackle play, it's paid for itself, and then some. So for Cincinnati, if they had come out of this with Alex Kappa, with Ted Karras, and then flipped a low-round pick for Lyle Collins, who could be their right tackle for the next 1, 2, 3 years,
incredible.
That would be amazing. And even with the potential that there's medical issues and there's, attitude issues or whatever it is, it's worth the risk for them. I kind of bummed that they haven't made that move already.
Yeah, because if you look at if it's a low round pick for Lyle Collins, what are you going to do with that low round pick? You're going to draft another Deontay Smith, developmental player, another Fred Johnson, another Hakeem Adeniji. Like, what are you going to do with that low round pick? Using it on Lyle Collins the same way the Bucs used a 5th rounder on Shaq Mason. I mean, who's the last offensive lineman that came out of the 5th round where you're like, oh yeah, that's the guy we're going to build around on the offensive line. So the only thing I'll say about the Bengals, maybe too much money for BJ Hill. That's the only, 3 years, $30 million, and a lot of money up front for Hill. Does that, which could be good, you just get it out of the way early, but that's the only thing I'd say I don't like so far, maybe with the Bengals. Cleveland Browns, what do you like so far?
Amari Cooper, the
Yes.
trade. I think that's.
Can I agree with you there? Is that allowed?
Sure.
I'll have another one too.
Yeah. Amari Cooper, I mean, what is it? An exchange, a 5th round pick, and a swap of 6ths. I mean, what the hell? Like, the downside to Amari Cooper was the contract, and all of a sudden the contract looks like a steal because of the deals that have been signed. Mike Williams signs for $20 million a year. Christian Kirk signs for almost $20 million a year. Like, I mean, Amari Cooper compared to Christian Kirk, come on.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's an easy one to like. I really like the Amari Cooper thing. I'll also say I like the Chase Winovich trade. They traded Mac Wilson, the linebacker, for Chase Winovich. Winovich had a pretty solid first 2 years in New England, completely fell out of favor, did not grade well last year. Coaching staff was just, they gave up on him. So the Browns bring Winovich in. He has a chance to be a legitimate pass rusher because he looked good in those first couple years in that role. Even bringing in a guy like Taven Bryan, similar, like former first-round pick, see if you can rejuvenate him. I like that strategy of kind of taking a bunch of outcasts and building your defensive line that way, as long as you have Myles Garrett as a foundation there. What don't you like about the Cleveland Browns?
Well, first of all, I need to apologize to the Browns. Yesterday, when we were talking about the Baker Mayfield thing, so I asked Twitter, with that section of text from Baker Mayfield, how would you read this? The way I read it, the way you read it. The way I read it being that the Browns have been radio silent to Baker throughout this whole process.
That was wrong.
And the way you read it, which is Baker is breaking his silence now.
You're apologizing to the Browns or to me?
No, the Browns. I don't care about you. Apparently Baker Mayfield had sort of said that he's going on like social media hiatus, a January or something. He was like, I'm stepping away, right? I'm being quiet on social media. I'm going silent. So that him breaking his silence now is what happened. We don't know that the Browns have been keeping him informed of the process, but we also now don't know that they haven't. And if they haven't, then frankly, Baker needs to be less whingy and just get on with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they've been telling him, hey, look, I appreciate what you did last year. On the other hand, you've played badly enough that we're going to go looking for elite quarterbacks. I mean, shut up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing you can do about that. You haven't played well enough to stop them doing that, so you can't whinge about it now.
So you're saying I read it right?
I'm saying, yeah. Well, the people appear to agree with you.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Now,
Smart.
you didn't have that extra information, so you kind of got lucky. But
no, I knew because I knew I haven't heard Baker.
You didn't.
I haven't
know.
heard Baker, pop off recently.
You didn't know that
I haven't had Colin Cowherd, build segments around it.
You didn't know that Baker went on a self-imposed social media hiatus.
But I know I haven't heard him for a while. And I know that he likes to – I used context, Sam. He likes to talk a lot, and he hasn't talked a lot lately.
Okay.
So I used context. What don't you like about the Browns?
Uh,
Making Baker sad? I'll go with that. They've made Baker sad, and I don't appreciate it.
See, I no longer care about that, though, because if they've been, keeping him informed about the process all along, it's like, I know. Deal with it.
Anything you don't like there?
Didn't they tender Dearness Johnson a pretty sizable chunk of money?
It's like 2.3.
Yeah, you already have Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb. Again, what's the point?
Dude, come on, don't take the running back hate to this level of extreme. If even the Browns are willing to pay 2.3 for a third running back, it's okay.
I don't know that it is.
I think it is. Not every running back's created equal. Like, I love James White, but he can't run. He can catch.
Well, that's why you're paying him $500,000.
Yeah,
that's the move I can get
actually
behind.
Run. That's why he gets $2.3 million.
Yeah, but he's the third running back.
I guess the only other thing I'd say is maybe Anthony Walker, but he did play well for them last year. He doesn't have the best track record at linebacker. But I
They
don't
haven't
know.
done much to dislike, to be fair.
Yeah.
Other than piss off
Again,
Baker.
for the Browns. But the biggest thing is going to be figuring out quarterback or getting Baker to play at the right level again. But he's also probably gone. All right, Pittsburgh Steelers. What do you like?
I mean, James Daniels is the answer.
Yeah.
Like this, it's not even. This one's just that's it.
Plus special teams ace Miles Killebrew.
Special teams ace. Okay.
James Daniels, I agree. It's the best offensive lineman that they've signed.
Yeah, and it gives them flexibility as well. Like they're going to need to do some figuring out during training camp, during OTAs, during preseason, all those kinds of things to figure out what that interior looks like, because James Daniels was a center, has also played both guard spots. Interestingly, in the NFL, he's played both guard spots better than he's played center, and Pittsburgh could honestly use an upgrade at any of the three areas. So they need to figure out what the best order of those guys is, and maybe it is putting James Daniels back at center and just letting him play there for a while rather than moving him around, or maybe you roll with a position that he's been playing best at. Who knows? But the fact that he has that flexibility, the fact that he is better than the guys they've had in that offensive line, all good things.
That's an added bonus. So I would agree on the James Daniels move. I'll also throw in, I like the Trubisky move. It's fine for 2 years, $14 million. Fine to take a shot at Mitchell Trubisky and give you flexibility to go into the draft. So you're not building around Trubisky. You're bringing him in, and you can still draft somebody. So I like that as an overall move. Anything you don't like about the who are they? The Steelers.
The Steelers, yeah. I don't like the Okorafor deal.
Yeah.
$30 million, $20 million guaranteed for a guy that's played badly when he's played. Why? Like he's got a grade like in the 60s, maybe, right?
Yeah, he's great. His career high was last year, 62.2.
Right.
That's with a 61 pass blocking grade.
So 2 years of starting.
In a system that might help a little bit. Look, we do very well to separate the offensive line from the system and the quarterback and all that stuff. But if you have a quick hitting system, you could get a little grade bump there. And Okorafor only graded 61 as a pass rusher.
I think it's more than a little bit. Like he's had 2 years of starting, essentially, of which the net is about a 60 overall grade. 57 the first year, 62 the second year. Let's call that a 60 across 2,200 snaps worth. In a system where the ball has been coming out lightning fast. That is going to get so much harder next year, almost regardless of who the quarterback is. And Steelers fans have been saying, yeah, but Trubisky's mobile, so he can offset. Like, it doesn't work that way, right? The fact that he's mobile.
Then it doesn't matter who you put a tackle.
But the fact that he's mobile might get him out of some pressure. It's not going to help the tackle avoid the pressure. You know what I mean? The length of time the quarterback has the ball in his hand is the important factor for how much harder an offensive lineman's job is. If a quarterback gets the hell out of that pressure and extends the play, that will help the offense, but it's not helping the tackle.
What people are describing there is if you're evaluating offensive linemen by the stat sacks allowed, which is an idiotic thing to do. But if that's what you're doing, then yes, a mobile quarterback might help that, but probably not over time because they hold the ball longer. Actually getting rid of the ball helps that. Right. So if you're only evaluating an offensive lineman by one number, which I would say is stupid, then you could say that a quarterback might help an offensive lineman in that respect. The thing about Okorafor, I keep talking about, is there an undervalued asset in third, fourth year offensive linemen who are going to break out? Yes, I believe that exists. But that exists in the way Austin Corbett was acquired by the Rams from the Browns, in the way Wyatt Teller was acquired by the Browns from the Buffalo Bills for low money. I don't want to pay to hope for the year 4, year 5 breakout, and that's essentially what the Steelers are doing. So I agree that would be my least favorite move as well for the Steelers.
Yeah. I also quite like, by the way, signing Levi Wallace. I have to, contractually. It's obligated. I'm not allowed to get away from that.
Is this going to cause issues for you here? Levi going to Pittsburgh, your arch enemies.
I think that he might struggle next year, but for the money they're paying him, I'm all for it.
All right, let's get a round of applause for Manscaped. They launched their Ultra Premium Collection. Thank you, Sam. Believe it or not, it's for your not-so-private parts. We're talking a leveled-up hygiene routine with your favorite manly scent. It's an all-in-one skin and hair care kit. Top to bottom, that's what it covers you. For the everyday man, Manscaped is trusted below the waist. Now trust them with the rest. Join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code PFF. Here's your order of operations, Sam. Number one, you hop in the shower, scrub-a-dub-dub that body with the Manscaped body wash, lather your hair up with the 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner, keep your noggin dry off and spray the hydrating body moisturizer to reinvigorate dry skin. Number 4, put on Manscaped deodorant for obvious reasons. And then 5, pop that Manscaped lip balm on. Nobody's out here kissing those chapped up lips. Getting dressed is optional, especially if you work from home. Wear one great scent all day long. It's Manscaped. It's 20% off plus free shipping with the code PFF at manscaped.com. It's 20% off plus free shipping with the code PFF at manscaped.com. The power of attraction is now in a bottle, thanks to Manscaped. If you're watching on YouTube, check out the screen because you see the Manscaped products. We'll have the link in the description. These are our friends who continue to add great products over at manscaped.com with the promo code PFF. All right, we're on to the AFC South. Mm-hmm. What did you just send me? Our tracker?
Yeah.
Do I need that?
Yes.
Oh, I got you.
Jacksonville.
I see your note. Oh, look at our trackers. Our tracker's beautiful right now. The PFF free agency tracker is looking great. We're on to, but they're doing it. We have a different order. We don't do it by division.
That's why I just told you Jacksonville.
You're going to start with Jacksonville?
Yeah.
All right, let's do that. It's actually Houston.
What?
All right, let's go Jacksonville. Whatever. Go Jaguars. What do you like about the Jags?
What do I like about the Jags? They, not a lot.
Seriously? You don't like it? I mean, they brought in so many players.
But all of them are overpriced.
No, Folo Fadakasi at 3 years, $30 million?
Darius Williams, 3 years, $30 million. He's a good
cornerback, former Ram.
Yeah, good corner. Always graded well for us.
Yeah.
Dating back to college. Undersized.
Solid move.
Good corner. Like it. Done.
I like Folo Fadakasi. I don't mind Brandon Scherf for the money.
It's a lot of money, though.
It is. I don't know. You just, again, you pay a Jags tax and you have to upgrade up front for Trevor Lawrence. I'll say Evan Ingram, I think, is worth it for a 1 year, $9 million. It's unexciting as far as like the rebuild goes. But if you're trying to get Trevor Lawrence back on track and give him playmakers, adding Ingram to the mix, I don't hate that. All right, what do you not like about the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Most of it.
Everything else?
Yeah. The Christian Kirk thing is starting to get funny. Because have you seen...
I did.
Yeah. So, okay.
Explain.
Well, they go out and they sign Christian Kirk to a deal that appears to be vastly more than anybody else was ever going to pay him. Then when they're talking about like why you bring in Darius Williams, it's like, oh, did you see that guy cover Christian Kirk? Their entire like team building philosophy appears to be based on the bedrock that Christian Kirk is like the best wide receiver in the NFL, and therefore, if a guy can cover Christian Kirk, well, he must be worth bringing in at corner. Okay, but what if Christian Kirk just isn't as good as you think he is? Doesn't compute, like, glitch.
This is Mike Mayock drafting everybody from like the Bama Clemson championship game a couple years ago. It's like, I love this player, but look at this player doing a good thing against the player I love. And it's just, I love all these guys. Draft all of them.
So, like the Christian Kirk thing, even just the general ethos that appears to be how good he is, I think is a little bit skewy, and therefore the money you paid him. You basically flipped Miles Jack for Olakun for no reason. Like, he's probably not as good. He's costing more. Like, why?
Olakun, I mean, look, they're both really talented linebackers, athletic, talented.
Right, but all you did is swap one for the other. Why?
Yeah.
What was the point?
They're both coming off rough seasons, and Olakun looked like an ascending linebacker a couple years ago. I just hate linebacker evaluations because no matter which way you slice it, it is really tough to predict the future at that particular position, and it's a huge investment in Olakun. We have somewhat breaking news here on the PFF NFL podcast. It's from 7 minutes ago, so it's not that breaking, but per Adam Schefter and probably a million others at this point, the Browns have been notified they're out of the running for Deshaun Watson, per team official.
They have been notified.
They've been notified.
Okay.
Per a team official.
Well, now the Baker
probably knows. He probably got the notification, or knows someone who got the notification within the organization. Out of the running.
So Mike Garafolo says they've been same thing, and then says the team still views Baker Mayfield as their quarterback going forward.
Schefter didn't get that part to tweet out. They Garafol, hey, if you could just mend some bridges here.
They told Mayfield's agents at the Combine they'd only explore top-tier quarterbacks such as Watson. So now the Browns have to go back to Baker, cap in hand, and be like, hey, Baker, look.
This is good. This is a good thing.
We always said
Talk him back in.
We said it was an open relationship, you know. We experimented outside of our thing, and now we've decided you're the one we want to be with. That's what the Browns are going to try and sell Baker on right now after he just posted his Twitter missive of how much he'd put his heart and soul into the city of Cleveland, and the city of Cleveland, or the Browns, they weren't loving him back right now.
All right. A pissed off Baker Mayfield. Pissed off Baker Mayfield.
This is going to be fun now. I'm interested in how this goes.
I think the same investment you were going to make to reshape Deshaun Watson's image, you just take that same investment and you try to reshape your own image for it.
This isn't like Mayfield. A PR problem. This is
it's internal PR. My buddy Mike does that internal PR.
Internal PR.
Yeah, over at Comcast. Keep the employees, abreast of situations and moving forward. It's probably more than that, right, Mike? But anyway, people do that.
Sure.
They should hire Mike, actually. Go repair relations with Baker.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to tweet soon, isn't he?
I hope so.
Probably I think he would come back with the Kermit T emoji.
You should just tweet like eyeballs or something. That would get people going nuts.
This is a double eyeball emoji.
Yeah.
This is double. I think Kermit sipping tea probably is coming from Baker Mayfield's account soon. Or maybe he's on to TikTok. Who the heck knows? Like you are. Which team are we on here?
Houston, Indy, take your pick.
We did the Jaguars. Oh, I didn't get to say what I don't like about the Jags.
Oh, what do you not like?
Cam Robinson.
Okay.
Franchising for Cam Robinson for over $16 million. See my Okorafor analysis. If you haven't figured it out now, I'm not paying you to figure it out.
They have been
talking
up Juwan Taylor at right tackle. So I haven't been hating the Cam Robinson thing too much because I think they still need a left tackle. And it's like if you're you need two tackles, right? So
you need two tackles because Walker Little's a huge projection too, the guy they drafted last year.
Right, and if it's Walker Little or you draft one or you're still in the Teron Armstead sweepstakes, whatever it is, if you end up getting a left tackle, Cam Robinson I think still has potential use at right tackle.
Why? Why do you want to move a below-average left tackle to right tackle 5 years into his career?
Because he's probably still better than Juwan Taylor.
I don't think.
But they've been talking.
Cam playing right tackle is better than Juwan Taylor playing right tackle.
I think it might be, and they've been talking.
Taylor's really struggled too. Both of those guys have not been good.
Right. So if you want to say, all right, Taylor's just done, but we might be able to get something more out of Cam Robinson at right tackle. Again, I'm kind of okay with that.
Look, franchise tags don't kill you long term, and it's not like the Jags are low on money or anything like that. But I don't want to pay to have Cam Robinson try to figure it out.
All right.
Houston Texans. Can we talk philosophy here?
Move?
Can we talk philosophy, or do you got to pick a move?
I don't even have a favorite move. What are they? They've done nothing that I like.
Obo Okoronkwo is my favorite move.
Yeah, but as we were discussing,
I sent you a joke Slack. I was like, love this move.
Did I get that one?
No, this was days ago. When I was like, oh, look, they signed Okoronkwo, a guy that we highlighted in the preview shows. And teams looking for edge rushers love taking a shot on Okoronkwo, who's been pretty productive in limited time, and loved him coming out of college. And then I said, unless I find out it's a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
It's a 1-year deal.
1 year, 3.5, I think. They haven't signed
they have not signed anybody for more than 2 years over the last 2 years.
Yeah, nobody. We went through this yesterday. They are just literally killing time until the Deshaun Watson thing gets done, and then they can start whatever project this is. And this is it's just a waste. It's just rearranging players on the roster because this is the time people do that. So they're kicking out a bunch of randoms. They're bringing in a bunch of randoms. They're spending no money anywhere, and we're doing nothing.
I like the concept.
I don't have one. I don't like. There's no move the Texans made that I like. None.
Okoronkwo.
No.
Bringing back Pharaoh Brown.
Because you were saying earlier, if
Desmond King, 2 years, $7 million.
If Okoronkwo had signed for 3 years, $18 million, you would like it more than if he'd signed for his 1 year, 3.5 deal. Because it would actually indicate some kind of projection and investment into his future. 1 year, 3.5 just means he's going to be on the roster for the next few months, and then we'll see. Which is nothing. I don't want zero commitment to him.
I don't want to repeat ourselves again. again, all I'm saying is,
Don't like any of them.
what would I do differently?
Next.
I would sprinkle it. I would try to find somebody that's going to be here 3 years from now.
Yes.
Right? And have some sort. It doesn't have to be what the Jags did. Like, there's a balance between maybe the Jags throwing a ton of money at a whole bunch of players and what the Texans are doing, throwing little money with no long-term commitments at all. Right? There's got to be a happy balance between those two. And if I'm the Texans, again, like we probably said on the preview show, I got to find somebody that's going to be a part of this rebuild. I like the idea of building through the draft, and eventually they're going to get this huge haul for Watson, and their nucleus is going to be built through the draft. Fine. But you still can find other pieces in free agency that are going to be there in 2024 and 25. Like, you could still do that. And they just
They're
haven't
not
done
trying to do anything. Like, this is, you ever play a kid in chess? And, you know, small kids are not great at chess. So if you played properly, you would win very quickly, very easily. So sometimes you have to just, like, move things, you know, like just take a step forward with a pawn just to chew up a move and, like, kill time until the small kid can do something. You know what I mean? That's what the Texans are doing right now. They're just making random moves just to kill time and space and energy until we get to, like, the real stuff. Like, they're not trying to improve. They're literally just making moves to show that they're alive, to show that they're active, and that there's, like, somebody working the switches. That's all they're doing. So there's no point in analyzing this because they're not genuinely trying to do anything.
I can see you just dominating Scout in chess. You play chess with Scout?
Yeah, she can play.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Anyway, so the Texans are playing chess.
With a child.
With a child.
Yeah.
All right, I'm not trying to be mean. I just think they could do more long-term things.
It's not. I mean, it's genuine. And they're not trying to do anything. They're not honestly playing the same game as everybody else. So it's pointless to analyze these moves because they're not trying to achieve anything with them.
All right, let's go to the Indianapolis Colts here in the NFC South. We're not going to forget the Titans. This order, I'm going to forget somebody now.
Probably.
Don't let me forget somebody. But Colts, anything you like?
If you forgot the Titans again, people would be very upset.
That would be ironic. Somebody remind me not to forget the Titans, please. Thanks.
I guess trading for Yannick Ngakoue. He's a very flawed player, but his one trick is very useful, particularly for a team that can figure out a way of not relying on him on first and second down. If you can just have Yannick Ngakoue as a designated pass rusher, that's good, and the Colts can probably swing that.
I guess what I like is trading Carson Wentz, getting something
Trade
for
him away.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't leave you in an enviable situation as far as finding your next quarterback, but I like that they were able to do damage control. You know, that they got out from – I liked the overall move as well. You take a shot on Carson Wentz, and then you get out of it.
Yeah.
And so you paid for 1 year to see, right, which I think is fine.
Did you see his pictures for Washington?
Yeah.
There's two of them. There's the first
yesterday's.
one. Yes, in
And
the
then
Letterman jacket.
Then there's today's.
Yeah, in his own yellow jacket,
Yeah.
which apparently he already owned. This is not like one that's been handed to him or that he's gotten specially now that he's the Washington Commanders
Maybe this is his best
quarterback. This is like, I already own this yellow jacket, and I'm ecstatic that I have there you go, look. And I'm ecstatic that I've got the opportunity now to wear it for this special occasion.
There's no way he owned a jacket with exact
That's what he says.
Washington football team.
I mean, maybe he's
commander
a liar. You can call him
yellow.
a liar if you want. I'm just relying. Look, say Carson said he already had the jacket.
That is the exact yellow. That is a very specific yellow.
My only point would simply be that
And he had the shoes too.
The Washington Commanders' colors are not kind to ginger people. They're not.
No.
They're not complimentary to the ginger.
That's very.
Now, I don't know with the ginger theory that, you know, the talent can only be concentrated in one place at one time. If that's like an enhancing feature, you know, like a force multiplier for the ginger, the Washington Commanders colors. If it is, then Carson Wentz is about to be MVP. If it isn't, then he just looks kind of silly in those colors.
So what does Wentz need to do to own all the ginger talent next year? That's the question. So like if
God, look at that. I had multiple people, by the way, tagging me in that picture, which I'm not happy about. Multiple.
I can see it.
Stop.
He's got a little more hair, some more beard.
I'm not. That's not on.
Can somebody get Sam a Letterman's jacket, please?
I'm not. No, that's.
We're gonna replicate this.
That's harsh and unfair.
I would pay for your charity if you just replicated all of Carson Wentz's looks, right? Forget the Mahomes TikTok. If you replicated all of Carson Wentz's looks from the Letterman jacket to the bright yellow blazer.
Yeah. I'm not buying a Letterman, a Washington
Commanders
Letterman and
PFF will
a
buy
bright
it.
yellow
PFF will
jacket.
buy it. It's for charity. We'll expense it.
Yeah.
Where are we again?
Moves you don't like for the Colts?
So I liked trading Carson Wentz.
Stop it.
Just move out of the shot.
Yeah, you're right. That's
His head's
not doing it.
Head's not as shiny.
Wait, hang on. Here we go. No.
Anything you liked from the Colts, Sam?
I already did the like.
You did.
Ngakoue.
So we did Ngakoue. I said I liked Colts. What do you not like about the Colts?
The fact they don't have a quarterback. Okay, you trade away Carson Wentz, fine. Damage limitation, great. On the other hand, what are you doing now? Because you still don't have anybody.
Give me answers.
I don't have any answers. That's the problem with this. You traded away the guy you decided was a problem, and now you need an answer. And what is your answer?
Well, you don't need the answer till September, or presumably July.
You need one pretty soon.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what happens.
I don't like that they've placed themselves in a position of not having a quarterback in a quarterback-driven league.
You would have kept Carson Wentz.
If I didn't have a better option, yeah.
So you would have had an option already available.
Yeah.
Like the draft
if
doesn't
you're going
happen
to trade him
yet. The
away,
draft could be an option.
if you're going to trade him away, have a solution.
You understand timing and markets and all that stuff, right? Like if you can't just trade Carson Wentz at any time.
Right.
They had to do it. If you're going to make the move, they had to do it at some point. So at some point they were going to left with the indecision of who their quarterback is.
Well, that's not great.
And that's where they are. So that's what you don't like.
No.
That's not even a move. It's not a move. You said it's going to be a move. So that means you don't like the Carson Wentz move.
Yes. Trading away Carson Wentz with zero replacement.
When would
strategy.
you trade Carson Wentz then?
Well, I might not if I didn't have that's my point. If I didn't have a better option, I wouldn't. I'd lie in the bed that I made and deal with it.
Oh, jeez. Anything I don't like? Yeah, I also don't like not having a quarterback.
What? Now the thing you like and don't like is the same move.
No, that's not true.
Well, then what is the thing you don't like?
I don't like that they still don't have a good receiving core. That they haven't, that they haven't used their cap space anywhere.
Okay.
The Colts have been sitting here with incredible cap space for a few years now, right? The Colts are like, I'm trying to think here.
You getting into the metaphor market?
I think so.
So what's happening here?
I feel like
Prepare the graphic.
they've been doing the opposite of the Texans, building a foundation for years, making a lot of shrewd moves, but they're low value moves. So make a metaphor for that for me.
No, this is your job. Come on, let's go.
They have a house with just floors.
Just
A house with just floors. They haven't even put rooms in there. Right? There's no stove. You can't use anything in the house. That would be your receivers, your playmakers.
Okay.
Your stars.
Just floors.
They just have floors, right? The Texans just have curtains, and the Colts just have floors, right? And all the good teams have all the other appliances that actually work: heating, stoves. You could cook. Probably a Traeger grill. Hey Traeger, what's up? Right? Does that make any sense?
It's a grind.
a
Watching
grind.
you try and work through a metaphor, it's tough work. It's tough going.
Throw one on the ticker. Throw one on the ticker.
Which way, though? Did that go up or down? Is that
I'm going from -1
is
up
that
to
a
0.
positive or negative metaphor?
-1 to
Where did
0.
we get to?
I think. Up to 0.
That's tough going. Yeah, there you go. -2.
Come on.
Yeah, I mean, you took a shot. That's all you can do. That's all you can ask.
I don't know. We've been sitting here praising Chris Ballard for years. Oh, look at this. Did some good stuff in the draft. You got some playmakers. You found Darius Leonard and all this stuff. But they're just not good enough on the perimeter, both sides of the ball.
Stone posted a YouTube poll. Who would rock the hot dog suit better, me or Carson Wentz?
Oh, yes.
I won by 72% with 72% of the vote.
Carson loses again.
What's involved in what is a good rocking of a hot dog suit? What's the win there? How do you rock one better than another guy?
Just humor level. Who's going to
look stupider wearing the hot dog suit?
That's correct.
Okay.
Look at years of you making fun of my appearance coming back to you in 2 days.
All of it.
All in 2 days.
Yeah.
On your day, too. St. Patty's Day.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Wentz has a little leprechaun-y type of look too.
Wentz has a little leprechaun-y type of look.
Big leprechaun, but
very big leprechaun. I'm not sure you can say that anymore.
Oh, I was going to say, is that all allowed?
I don't know.
Cut that out. I was just joking.
All right, Tennessee. We're not forgetting them.
Are you not allowed to say that anymore?
I don't know. I've lost track.
I don't want to bring attention to it.
I don't know what you're allowed to say.
Let's not bring attention to it.
Which is not great for people who are paid to talk for a lot of the time.
Yeah, particularly live.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Just saying, he's got a beard that looks like yours.
Yeah.
Tennessee Titans.
His is ginger than mine. Mine is less ginger than his. Come on. What are we doing? This is. Can we get HR on the phone? We got award-winning HR here. Tanya, would you start throwing around some discipline to these people?
Well, our training's not due till the end of the month. So
I mean, mine's completed, so I can.
Yeah, but it's not due till the end of the month. So to be fair, I think it's tough to really hold people to the proper HR standards until we all complete our training on my birthday, March 31st. That's when it's due, by the way, PFFers. What?
Okay. That's fine.
Turning 40 in 2 weeks from today.
Wow.
Yeah, it's happening. Tennessee Titans. What do you like?
What do I like?
Look at us not forgetting the Titans.
Yeah.
Look at this. We're an hour in. We're going to have an hour AFC, hour NFC. Perfect show.
The perfect show. Re-signing Ben Jones. 2 years, $14 million. Quality starting center. Good. Done. Like it.
I like that. I'm going to say I like that as well. I like the signing of Jamarco Jones, former Seahawks guard. I would try him at tackle. I would just give him a shot at right tackle because he looked like a better tackle coming out of college at Ohio State. I think Jamarco Jones. So the difference between the Okorafor moves and the Cam Robinson moves and all that stuff, those guys are getting paid to get better at the NFL level after starting for years. Mm-hmm. I think Jamarco Jones is one of those guys who's worth a look, was a good college player, hasn't had a ton of opportunities at the NFL level. If he's going to break out, it would be right around this part of his career, and you do that for 2 years, under $6 million. Those are the guys that you try to take that shot on. So Jamarco Jones, I like that move, that signing for the Titans. What don't you like?
Re-signing Harold Landry to 5 years, $87.5 million. That is monster money for Harold Landry, who it's not that he's bad, right? There's a difference between Harold Landry and Bud/Bad Dupree, that he isn't that bad. On the other hand, he isn't great either. He has 4 straight years in the NFL of PFF pass rushing grades that range between 56.8, his most recent one, and 61.1. Now, look, we're talking about Von Miller having lost a step as a pass rusher, and he just posted an 88 pass rushing grade. So Harold Landry has never been in the same stratosphere of pass rusher as Von Miller, even declined Von Miller, and yet we're handing this guy the bag to be an elite pass rusher. Where he gets kind of fascinating, though, is he has, usually that happens in Bud Dupree-esque circumstances, where a guy gets, a few sacks but doesn't get any pressure, and he just kind of lucked into some sacks in a random stretch. Harold Landry has both sacks and pressures. He's got 225 pressures over the last 4 years. The last 3 years, he's been over 55 each season. That's a pretty high number. I mean, we're saying Jerry Hughes is a really useful pass rusher because he'll guarantee you 50 pressures a season, right? Harold Landry has gotten you that each year of the last 3 years. But he's never graded well, and it's because in each of the last 3 years, it's taken him 566 or more rushes to get those pressures. So his selling point right now, they say that your greatest ability is availability. Well, Harold Landry is knocking that one out of the park. That dude is available every goddamn snap of the game, every game of the season, every season of his career, like clockwork. But he's not actually doing that much.
Over 1,000 snaps each of the last 3 years. For
over
Landry.
11, yeah, over 1,043 was the last, over 1,100 the last 2 years.
So, yeah, I think you summed that up well. The other way I'll put it, he's a good player. He's durable. He drops into coverage over 100 times per season as well, right? So he's got that flexibility. I look at this move and say, that's the type of guy you thank him for his 4 years and you let someone else pay him. This is what the Ravens would do. You have the next replacement, or Obo Okoronkwo or Uchenna Nwosu, guys who do this. A little bit of linebacker, a little bit of pass rush, a little bit of set the edge. You can get cheaper at that position, and you can also acknowledge if a guy, like this is how the NFL should be using our stuff, okay? If a guy has a ton of pressures and all that, and he doesn't have a great pass rush grade, generally it's because of the scheme, the system, or some sort of help, right? And if you're the Titans and you have generated that much pressure and you're happy with Harold Landry's production, you should look at yourself and say, we've created an environment where this guy can produce, therefore we could probably do it for someone else on the cheap, whether it's in the draft or whether it's the Tyus Bowser type or the Uchenna Nwosu type that are out there on the free agent market. So I think that's the alternative move to make there, rather than having a ridiculous amount of money locked up in Harold Landry and Bud Dupree, where if you put that straight up, can you win one-on-one pass rush duo against the others that are around the NFL now? Bosa and Mack and Chandler Jones and Max Crosby. I mean, it's not even in the same ballpark, the Titans. So I agree with you on the Landry move, not liking that.
AFC West.
Oh, yeah, we're not even done with the AFC yet.
No.
It's not even close to a perfect show.
No.
Denver Broncos, what do you like?
I mean, obviously Russell Wilson.
There we go, Russell Wilson. Good trade. Good job, Broncos.
Had to do it, right? You didn't get the Aaron Rodgers thing done. You had to get something. You had to get a quarterback that can compete in this division, and that's the one. So, love it.
Agree on Russell Wilson. Power move. You did it. A lot of the other stuff the Broncos are doing is pretty good, too. I also like Josie Jewell coming back, bringing back your own 2 years, $11 million. Huge need at linebacker filled by one of their own in Josie Jewell. Anything you don't like about the Broncos?
I'd also give them credit for the Randy Gregory deal as well, by the way. And DJ, they made a lot of moves. DJ Jones, I think, is a good one as well. So
you don't
like almost everything Denver have done.
Nothing you don't like yet.
What do I not like?
Is that too risky for Randy Gregory?
No, because
it's real long-term investment.
But it's only $28 million guaranteed. Like, he can, if he lasts a season, he's got you halfway towards that value. If he lasts 2 seasons, you've nailed it. Like, I think that's perfectly fine in terms of risk.
All right.
I don't know that I dislike any move they've made.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you.
Don't have one. I mean, no, nothing. I got nothing.
Where's there more to do with Denver? A little more. You want to shore up the offensive line a little bit more.
They need a right tackle.
Right tackle.
They're another team that you could make the case that they should have already traded for Lyle Collins just to get that done. Again, if you've got a window of opportunity with Russell Wilson and a glaring hole at right tackle, go fix it now. But other than that, can't dislike too much.
All right, more work to do on the offensive line. I would agree that that's one thing they can still do better. How about the Kansas City Chiefs? AFC West here.
Well, they re-signed Chad Henne, so that's
anything is possible, as they say.
Gotta love that. I guess franchise tagging Orlando Brown, I quite like as a concept. They were in this spot where they're gonna have to pay him an absolute boatload of money. Let's put it off for a year. Let's keep him around for 16.6 instead of having to give him a $20 million a year contract for the next however many years. That's not a bad halfway house to just hedge.
I don't mean to keep bringing up Cam Robinson, but they both got franchise tagged at tackle, both making over $16 million.
Yeah.
Orlando Brown's worst season is better than Cam Robinson's best season.
Yep.
So given the market, I agree Orlando Brown is a good move. Now, I do think everything the Chiefs did last year is going to lead to it's going to be pretty heavy investment on the offensive line, and I do wonder if this is going to hamstring them as far as getting playmakers. That leads me to what I don't love so far is we don't have wide receiver 3 for the or option number 3 in the pass game for the Chiefs.
Again, yeah.
What don't you like, the Chiefs?
That's quite a lot of money for Justin Reed at safety, for a guy that's not coming off his best period of time. Now, okay, with the Texans, so like there's some mitigating factors going on here. I also don't like that they haven't figured out what to do with the Frank Clark deal yet. They're still saddled with that and haven't done much to change that dynamic. I'm not sure why Frank Clark is still on the roster, to be honest. And as you said, they still haven't found that third receiver.
I mean, he's kind of like Landry, right? I mean, if you can, I don't think he's making your team worse.
Isn't
if you're
he,
paying
though?
him less. If you're paying him less, it's not as bad.
He might be making the team worse at this point. Landry, for all his faults, i.e. the fact that as much as he's getting a ton of pressure and he's there all the time, he's not really an impact playmaker. He is at least making you better. But
he's good on the twists and stunts that they do. I mean, he's good. Landry's good with the stuff that.
But Frank Clark might legitimately be dragging you down at this point, with the money you've got tied up in him, with the the kind of things you need to do for him to be on the field in terms of, I mean, that's opportunity cost of Frank Clark being out there. I think at this point you can make a real argument is problematic.
Yeah, so that's the Chiefs. I agree on the Justin Reed thing, by the way. I mean, I think going from Tyrann Mathieu to Justin Reed's probably a downgrade. It's for a lot of money. I don't think Reed's a bad player necessarily.
Right.
It probably changes what they're going to do schematically, but
and I like the potential. I think he could actually be very good.
Could be
within
very
that
good,
defense. Yeah. It's a lot of money for that. For
a lot
that
of money
risk.
for a safety. I mean, what are they going to do at corner? They've done a good job of kind of stitching that together in recent years. But I just think the Chiefs have a lot of question marks right now on that roster.
Losing Travarius Ward again with as of yet no real replacement is potentially an issue.
Las Vegas Raiders. What do you like?
Signing Chandler Jones. They're in this arms race. The division is a murderer's row. It's a nightmare. I maintain that even though they were the team in the playoffs last year and the Chargers weren't, the Raiders are working with a disadvantage relative to the other teams in this division. They're not as good at quarterback. As much as Derek Carr has changed the way I think of him in recent years, he's not as good as the other three guys. He just isn't. Herbert's better. And if I think realistically, only Raiders fans think differently. I think everybody else in neutral would look at Herbert versus Carr and say Herbert is the better guy. So if you're the Raiders, the only way of combating that is to just start throwing resources at it and just try and get good players is wherever you can get them. And Chandler Jones, again, maybe declining, maybe not the force he was, is still a really good pass rusher, and you're going to need that in that division.
I like the Raiders signing cornerback Darius Phillips.
Okay.
1 year, $2.25 million. It's only 1 year, but I like Phillips as a player. He's a former fifth-round pick. When he did have a chance to play, an extensive period of time in 2020, he had a 72 PFF grade. So he's one of those guys who's graded pretty well on a small sample size for cheap. I like those moves just to see if you can get something out of him, and there's no long-term risk there with Phillips. Anything you don't like, the Raiders?
Not really. I don't.
I'll go.
Okay.
I don't like them releasing Nick Witkowski because I love Nick.
Yeah, you do.
I love Nick.
You do.
I think he's a fantastic player, and he's going to make a team better at linebacker. So I don't like that. I don't like that one bit.
He's your defensive Morgan Moses.
Oh yeah, I mean since
sign
coming out of West Virginia,
Witkowski. What's he good at?
Flipper.
The flipper. Yeah,
Flipper. Nobody takes on. I mean, dude, nobody takes on lead fullbacks with a flipper getting under his pads.
Yeah.
Like Witkowski. Sorry, I should not act that out again.
It's a shame there isn't such a thing as a lead fullback anymore in the NFL.
It is. I'm just saying.
Man's got a skill set made for 2004.
He's got an awesome skill set. I think did we ask him about the flipper?
Yes.
On the show?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was like, yeah, I do. Work on that. Friend of the show, Nick Witkowski, gets released. Yeah, I don't like that one bit by the Raiders.
Okay. I don't love acquiring Rocky Yassin. I mean, we were talking, it happened basically as we just analyzed that they would be a good team to make Yannick Ngakoue into a one-trick pony, just a designated pass rusher only, and instead they flipped him for a cornerback that just looks bad.
Dude, I'm in on all those moves. I mean, he had a 72 coverage grade last year, Yassin. It was his first actual good year. Did it in a favorable scheme in Indianapolis, but I don't know. I kind of like that because if I'm the Raiders, I'm going to take as many shots as possible at corner. And guys like Darius Phillips and Rocky Yassin. So I actually disagree with what you didn't like there.
Okay. I'll summon the courage to go on.
Good for you. Los Angeles Chargers. Now we're cooking. Oh, dude, this show's taking forever.
J.C. Jackson.
I think I have a heart out, too. The NFC fans are going to be so upset.
So upset, yeah. J.C. Jackson. Yeah. For the same reasons that I didn't like the Patriots letting him walk. J.C. Jackson has elite ball skills. He's got incredible coverage numbers. His coverage grade has been getting better year on year. And as much as the logic appears to be that the Patriots are better with him as a man cover corner than a zone cover corner, I don't even know that that's true. And I think he excels in a zone scheme like the one the Chargers are going to be running. Great move for them.
Here's why I like J.C. Jackson. How's this philosophy here? In an NFL where teams are going to go for it on fourth down more than ever, are turnovers more important than ever?
Sure.
So actual possession of the ball. Turnovers have always been important, right? It's a little correlation, causation stuff, and you look back and it's like, oh, teams that win the turnover battle win more, whatever. But in today's NFL, if possession's the most important thing, and the Chargers having possession with their explosive offense is really important, I like the building effort in their secondary over the last 2 years of J.C. Jackson, playmaker, Asante Samuel, playmaker, the player, playmaker.
Wait, my actual favorite move is that they re-signed Chase Daniel to keep his streak alive of just
That's my least
money.
favorite move because he's just pulling away from the rest of the. Maybe he didn't make enough money though. Only $2.25.
He has now made for his career $150,000 for every pass he's attempted. $150,000. Like nobody else is even close. Nobody else, nobody else with like more than 5 career attempts is just even in the ballpark. Like Kirk Cousins is going in the contract Hall of Fame for the money he's bilked out of teams whilst he's been like an above average starter. And Kirk Cousins is at like $40,000 per pass attempt. Like he's actually had to work for the cash that he gets in as a guaranteed money. Chase Daniels has just been able to sit his ass on the bench for like a decade and rack in $150,000 for every time he's had to put the ball in the air. That's incredible.
It is incredible.
I'm all for having that streak kept alive.
So you're good with the Chase Daniel signing. So we both like a lot of what the Chargers did. Is there anything you don't like? I will just say they released Brian Bulaga, which is fine. Yeah. I think banking on him at this point is not great.
Right.
But they have this hole at right tackle. So if you're going to say everybody should be trading for Lyle Collins,
sure.
Maybe the Chargers are in that boat as well. Going in with the right tackle issue right now.
Yeah, same thing.
Cool. Look at that. AFC's done.
So soon?
We on to the NFC. So now I got to go. Where's the order here? So it's all alphabetical.
Dallas.
NFC East. All right, let's go. Dallas Cowboys. What do you like?
I like re-signing Michael Gallup. I think that's reasonable money. In fact, it's good money given some of the other contracts that have been signed and given what they were evidently planning on doing, i.e. trading away Amari Cooper, apparently getting priced out of the Cedric Wilson sweepstakes. You kind of needed to keep Gallup intact. Otherwise, all of a sudden, the offense is Dak Prescott to CeeDee Lamb and basically nothing else.
Yeah, Gallup at 5 years, $62 million, given some of the other price tags. Looks really good. I don't know if it's just my mind playing tricks on me, but when you sign a number 2 receiver like Gallup for that money, I like it fine if he's your number 2.
Yeah.
Right? Like when, again, Corey Davis and the Jets, when you sign Corey Davis and it's like he's your top receiver, both monetarily and on the field, I'm like, ooh, that's a sketchy move. I don't know. Until the Jets get a number 1, and then it makes it look more palatable. So I like the Gallup move as well. I'll also say DeMarcus Lawrence.
That's a great deal for Dallas.
What's that? DeMarcus.
The DeMarcus Lawrence thing.
So he went from no guaranteed money to a lot of guaranteed money. 3 years, $40 million. Both parties are happy, and it's actually however Dallas negotiated his deal initially. That's one of the deals Dallas did that came back to benefit them in the end, where they could actually save money on Lawrence and keep him on the team and keep a pretty key piece up front there.
Yeah, I can only think that he must have really, really wanted to stay in Dallas because that feels like a deal that he could have knocked out of the park if he'd become a free agent and gone somewhere else. Like if they were asking him to take a pay cut and he'd said no, and the answer to that was to cut him, he would have made way more than that in the open market. So for them to keep him around and all it cost him was some guaranteed money, steal.
What don't you like about the Cowboys here?
Just making a balls of the Randy Gregory thing. Like
that has to
you
be
had
right?
that locked up and you just fumbled it for no reason other than like apparently a miscommunication over contract language. Like, how have you not figured out how to piece that back together? Right.
We discussed that yesterday on the show with a very good breakdown by you.
Thank you.
Both parties told 85% truths, which led to what looked like a lie on both people thinking they got lied to.
I also don't love, by the way, the trading away Amari Cooper thing, just generally. The entire approach of like hemorrhaging good players to try and save cap space is something that seems like it should have been avoidable for a team. Like these players, their contract is not, it's like they're not being surprised by the contracts,
You're going to blame Zeke again?
I mean, Zeke is obviously the problem, but even with Zeke's contract, there were ways of avoiding this, right? Every other team goes through this as well, and they figure out ways of readjusting the contract and doing what they did to DeMarcus Lawrence and those kinds of things. And Dallas seems to have been like surprised by every one of these deals. Like, I cut him. Yeah. What?
I don't like that they lost that advantage that they have, right? That advantage being the 3 wide receivers and having that explosive offense at any point. So I don't like that, which involves trading Amari Cooper. And I like Gallup a lot, but I'd rather probably pay more money to Cooper, even though I know they soured on him. Mm-hmm. Let's go Philadelphia Eagles. Giants next? Let's go Giants. Do you want to go alphabetical order?
Sure.
New York Giants.
New York Giants.
What do you like here? NFC East, New York Giants.
They at least made one move on the offensive line, bringing in Mark Lewinsky to an offensive line that desperately needs help. So that.
Yeah. Creeping back toward average on the offensive line is definitely something to like. I can't believe you didn't pick Tyrod Taylor.
I mean, he's $17 million for Tyrod? Look, I love
That's
Tyrod.
An up to number, I think. It's an up to.
Yeah, but still, it's, Although somebody was pointing out that, like, if you look at the quarterbacks that have immediately followed Tyrod in recent years, like, Daniel Jones to the moon, Like Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Baker Mayfield. Okay, that one's fallen apart.
It looked good for a while.
Right. But all of a sudden, like, the arrow's only pointing up for Daniel Jones right now.
Yeah, Tyrod. Maybe that Tyrod's just good in the room. Or once you puncture his lung, things take off.
I mean, look, accidents happen.
They certainly do. What don't you like about the New York Giants?
I mean, I guess only it's not that they only made one move on the offensive line because Feliciano came in as well. I would like them to have attacked that a little bit more with a little bit more gusto.
Yeah,
done what the Bengals have done.
I don't like that they didn't do what the Bengals did. Right? They didn't do it because the Bengals did it a lot closer to kind of how we laid it out on the show. And we kind of laid it out the same way for the Giants and the Bears and the Panthers and all these other teams. So I kind of agree with that. I also look at a guy like Matt Parrott. He's another O-line breakout candidate. It might not be as bad up front for the Giants.
But again, you don't want to put yourself in the position that Miami did last year, which is relying on those players developing. Like, if they do, great. If they don't, though, that's your problem. And this was like the Jags, like, again, the Christian Kirk thing, right? It's like, oh, well, if he plays really well, nobody's going to think about the contract. And it's like, and if he doesn't, oh, we're not thinking about that. Well,
right.
You probably should be.
Yeah, the other thing maybe is not getting trade value for James Bradberry. It's maybe out of the Giants' control, but they shopped him, and now there's rumors they might just have to release James Bradberry, who's a pretty good corner, making a ton of money, and I thought he would be a key piece to flip in this rebuild. So not being able to get anything for him, I would say. Don't love it. Let's go Philadelphia Eagles.
They've really only made one move?
Yeah, it's our favorite and least favorite.
Okay.
Signed Hassan Reddick.
Done.
It's a good move.
I like it. Hassan Reddick, he's closer to that one-trick pony style of player. He's a speed edge rusher, undersized, but he brings some heat to the edge rush that Philadelphia has been losing in recent years with either guys that haven't panned out or just the decline of the likes of Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox. So I think it's a good move.
Different body type, but Reddick made the move that people have been asking about for Anthony Barr for years, right? College edge rusher turned to linebacker, and then 3 or 4 years into the career, it's like, what if you turned him back into an edge rusher? And for Reddick, his career has taken off. He's since late in 2020, right, with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Had all those sacks, signs the deal with the Panthers last year, now cashes in with the Eagles. Maybe the best thing the Eagles are doing is not overspending anywhere because they do have a lot of young pieces on this roster, and they've got all this draft capital, and they're just not overspending in areas. I do think as far as anything you don't like off the top here, as far as the Eagles go.
Not really. I mean, it's not a bad roster, all told. And they've got those 3 first-round picks. So
I feel like the thing they could use, though, is like some of the Texans players, right? Some of the 1 and 2 year contracts that the Texans are signing, you sprinkle those throughout the Eagles roster with the influx of draft capital, so you don't have a starting corner really to trust opposite Darius Slay right now. That would be one thing. So if you did have some more of those mid-level players and contracts added to this Eagles roster, I think that would also help. So you don't have to maybe attack needs as much in the draft.
Sure.
Let's go Washington football team. What do you like? What don't you like?
Commanders.
What did I say? Football team?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. The Commanders.
I mean, that's not much better, but it's what it is.
As a commander, what do you like?
What I like the most?
What do you like, Carson?
Andrew Norwell. Andrew Norwell got signed. They helped plug the gap that they lost by getting rid of both their guards. Eric Flowers and Brandon Scherff both gone, so they needed to fix that somewhere along the line. Andrew Norwell is a solid starting guard. Done.
I know what you don't like, but
I don't like a lot of it.
Yeah, I guess that's fine. You're essentially flipping Eric Flowers for Andrew Norwell there. It's probably a push, to be honest, at this point.
Sure, but like if you're going to do one, you have to do the other.
Do you like re-signing J.D. McKissick? Is that too much money for you? 2 years, $7 million for any running back?
That's all right, because, pass catching guy.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
So that's okay. I'll say that. J.D. McKissick, I kind of agree on the Norwell stuff. What don't you like as far as the Commanders go?
I don't like releasing Matt Ioannidis.
I know that. That's
Obviously.
what I knew where I knew you were going to go.
I also don't like trading for Carson Wentz. I think that's a bad move. I understand that it screams of desperation, right? I thought last year Washington's process was sound. They got screwed. It didn't work, but the process was good. And when you learn from good process but bad results and you react to that, I think you tend to make mistakes. And that, I feel, is what they've done here, which is our process screwed us last year, so let's change the process. So quick, go and get a quarterback now. Who? It doesn't matter. Grab one. Wentz is over here. Done. Sold. Like, nobody was going to be a bigger supporter of Carson Wentz than Frank Reich, and Frank Reich is done with the guy. So that, again, this is like Bill Belichick calls you up and wants to flip you a defender that you think is really good. Should be raising alarm bells.
I think that is the best point.
When Frank Reich
of this whole thing,
of all people, is like, you know what, we're done. And Frank Reich is like rubbing dirt through his hair, apologizing at the feet of Jim Irsay for bringing this disaster into the franchise. That should be telling you something. That is not a guy you want to go out and find and get as your starting quarterback.
That's the best point I've seen anybody make, to be honest, Sam. Is not so much, you idiots, you got Carson Wentz, he just, didn't do what he was supposed to do in Indianapolis and underwhelmed there and all that stuff. It's the fact that he went to, of all the situations where, at least off the field and familiarity-wise and all that stuff, the place where he should have succeeded. Again, I've criticized the Colts for not giving him the weapons I don't think that he needed there, so I don't think he's in that spot. But what your point is, if you didn't do it with Frank Reich, how are you going to do it in Washington?
And not even just that you didn't do it, but like when that
they're done, right?
When that guy is done, is just completely out on you, to the point where he's apparently, reportedly, who knows if this is true or not, but reportedly apologizing to the owner for vouching for him in the first place, right? If he is out to that degree, that should be, like, you should have to answer some serious questions about, if he is that out on him, why are we in on him?
I always ask, though, what's the alternative for the Commanders?
Literally anything.
You're just good with anything else besides?
I mean, look,
Carson Wentz.
Jameis is still out there for nothing. Jameis Winston, I honestly don't even think that the distribution of outcomes for Jameis and Carson Wentz is different at this point. They're the same player, but one of them is going to cost you nothing in terms of contract, in terms of draft capital, nothing. You can sign him right now for a bag of peanuts and, some workout videos, right? Carson Wentz cost you multiple draft picks and his $28 million contract, and literally the distribution might be exactly the same. So why?
Yeah, that's fair.
Other than he matches your colors with his ginger hair.
The only thing I don't like is they haven't attacked all the. You need to attack the playmakers situation with what is it? Enthusiasm unknown to mankind. Huh. Is that how Harbaugh says it? Yeah. That's how Jim Harbaugh says it. That's what Washington coulda, woulda, shoulda been doing. And so that'd be the one thing I'd say I don't necessarily like. Maybe on top of the Wentz thing, but look, I get it. I get taking chances at the quarterback position a little bit. They might not be able to get out of this, though, a year from now, like the Colts
they
did.
get out of it by cutting him.
Right. The get out of it is like, I don't mind giving up a little bit of draft capital for the opportunity like the Colts did. If this doesn't work this year, they're not getting draft picks back. They're not getting stuff back for him. It's like, all right, you just failed in 3 straight places, right?
Yes.
So playmakers, add more playmakers.
Somebody on Twitter, Jake Trotter from ESPN, has been summing up the Baker Mayfield-Cleveland Browns relationship via metaphor. And he initially tweeted...
Add him to the metaphor.
March 15th, 2 days ago. I don't know if the bridge has been completely burned, but it's definitely on fire. He has since updated this with, the river has since caught fire beneath the bridge. So it's not going well. The Baker Mayfield-Cleveland Browns relationship is what I will take from that.
If the water is on fire, that is problematic. That is problematic. All right, where are we going? NFC North. Who's in that division? Chicago Bears. Anything you like about the Chicago Bears? All they've done so far is release Tariq Cohen, Eddie Goldman. Who else did Danny Trevathan released. They signed Larry Ogunjobi. We need to update this one. Nicholas Morrow.
Yeah, don't love a lot of it.
They traded Khalil Mack.
They did. Okay, let's go with that. They traded Khalil Mack.
I like that. Look, again, when we said fixing the Bears, we did update. We updated with Ogunjobi. Just press refresh. If you listen to our show, Fixing the Bears, you look up and down the roster, there's not a whole lot to build upon. They're eating a lot of dead cap this year, and they're looking to the future. I think the best thing that they've done is think about the future, because the roster's really been left in a rough spot with little draft capital. So I do like that Ryan Poles' first move is cut the people that aren't going to be here in the future. Let's move on to the new regime. Let's get some draft capital for Khalil Mack and start getting our talent in here. So I like that as a move. I think that's a good start. What I don't necessarily like is all that money for Larry Ogunjobi.
Yeah.
And I know that's 3 years, $40 million. That's well over the going rate for interior defensive linemen right now. So B.J. Hill, I said it might have been too much for B.J. Hill in Cincinnati. This is $10 million more than B.J. Hill on the same length. And B.J. Hill's graded better than Ogunjobi for us over the last couple of years. So I think Ogunjobi started his career really well for the Browns and has slowly gotten a little bit worse, and just the grade hasn't really always matched up to the hype.
And they're also, like, they're projecting him in a way that doesn't make any sense. Like, they're projecting him as a 3 technique, apparently, like an interior pass rushing defensive tackle. And even when he was grading very well for us, he wasn't grading well as a pass rusher. Now, to be fair, when he was grading well against the run, he was doing so by penetrating into the backfield, by typically making those kind of plays that you associate with a 3-tech type of player, as opposed to stacking guys at the line of scrimmage and shedding and 2-gapping and all that kind of stuff. So I guess the traits and the plays are transferable, but you can't look at his tape so far and be like, oh, there's a 3-tech waiting to break out. We've seen zero evidence of that. So you're paying him a ton of money, more than he's ever shown he should be earning, and you're doing it because you project him at a position or an alignment different to anything we've seen him do so far. Both those things are bad.
So I'm just looking at Ogunjobi's page right now. Yes, never had a pass rush grade above 63. And you guys can get access to this. You get 30% off this week. Free Agency 30, you get access to any PFF subscription, 30% off, Edge or Elite. I have the Elite package, obviously, but I'm looking at the Premium Stats 2.0. You get every single snap graded. So I could say, hey, look, Ogunjobi's played over 3,500 snaps in his career. Never had that pass rush grade above 63. Has kind of regressed as a run defender. So I don't love that move as far as the Bears go. And with Ogunjobi, you guys can break this whole thing down yourself using Free Agency 30. You're 30% off. But as far as Ogunjobi goes, our grades are really stable year to year as far as defensive line goes, especially when you have that much information on defensive players. So this is one of those moves you could generally be a little bit more confident in, I think, when you're criticizing it. So let's go Green Bay Packers. What do you like, Sam?
Green Bay Packers. I like bringing back Aaron Rodgers, because you don't have him, you don't really have anything.
Yeah. I mean, Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, bringing them both back, that has to be the thing you like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Devondre Campbell?
I think that's a good move.
Like or don't like?
No, I like that. I think, given the linebacker market with guys like Olakun getting almost the same amount of money for, way less good play, it's decent money for him. It's also the team. So Devondre Campbell, years of average play, goes to Green Bay, plays like an all-pro, right? If anybody's going to give him the money, I feel better about it being Green Bay. If he'd gone somewhere else off the back of that deal and was getting the big money, it's like, okay, can you do that fair. Outside of Green Bay?
You're the place that got him on track and everything. It's a new world for the Packers, right? They used to not explore free agency much. They did with Preston Smith, who they just re-signed. They did with Za'Darius Smith, who they just released and he went to the Ravens. and they, re-signed Devondre Campbell, another free agent type. So, yeah, they're doing a lot more, a little bit more aggressive, I'd say, than the Packers of old. Anything you don't like, or what don't you like about the Packers?
I mean, the fact that they haven't got the Davante Adams deal done yet is not ideal.
Yeah.
That's probably it, really. Like, they need to figure out a way of getting that sorted out and squeezing them both under the cap and having it for more than a year and all those kinds of things. It's a tough deal, but that's what they're stuck with. I'm
still on this playmakers kick, right? So they bring back Alan Lazard on his restricted free agent contract. So they've got Lazard and Davante Adams, and technically Randall Cobb right now if they're not going to release him. Tight end is a big question mark, remains a question mark. They just got released Billy Turner. That probably puts Elkin Jenkins out at right tackle, but the interior, the offensive line isn't great on paper. So I think there's just holes across the offense where you want to attack this, I think, the way the Bucs have attacked it around Tom Brady and just say, look, we're gonna build as much depth with great players as best we can. I know every team's trying to do that, but I think the Packers are just a step behind as far as that goes right now from a roster building standpoint.
Yeah, they don't appear to be able to achieve the same gravitational effect that Tom Brady has in terms of, hey, everybody's going to come, everybody's going to sign for less money, we'll get the band together, we'll go win a Super Bowl. I don't know how much of it is Green Bay not being a destination that you want to necessarily play in, and how much of it is the Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers thing, but like Green Bay is not achieving what Tampa Bay is.
I skipped to the Detroit Lions as far as alphabetical order goes. Let's go Lions.
At least you got them.
Yeah,
we didn't forget them.
If I've forgotten anybody, you just drop it in the YouTube chat. We still have to do the NFC South and the West. Detroit Lions, what do you like?
I guess DJ Chark taking the kind of Will Fuller deal, 1 year, $10 million. It's like similar reasons. Deep speed is important. Potential that he can transform an offense is important. It's worth a gamble for a team with a ton of money, with a ton of space, with opportunity rife in terms of wide receiver, of snaps, all those kinds of things. I think that's a good gamble to take.
So I look at that deal and I say, is this one of those things where you get him for just a year, feed him like crazy, build up his value, and then he gets the big deal next year, next offseason? You might get a comp pick out of it or whatever it is. The only question is, if you're the Lions, are you really equipped to build up his value? So I like this as a concept, right? Get guys on one-year deals, build up their value, let them go somewhere else, reap the reward. So yeah, I like that move. It's fine. We'll see if that ends up paying off. I don't mind bringing back Charles Harris on 2 years, $14 million. Another one of those kind of I don't want to use the word bust, but he was an underwhelming first-round prospect for the Dolphins and has bounced back. Tried to bounce back with the Falcons, actually did bounce back with the Lions. 2 years, $14 million for him to see if he can keep it up. Not bad. They actually signed, so the Lions signed Tracy Walker for 3 years, $25 million. Lions are in a similar rebuild as the Houston Texans. But this is like they actually signed somebody that's going to be there when you're hoping to be good. And that's all I'm asking the Texans to do, right, is just sprinkle in some of those. So the Lions did that with Tracy Walker, safety. Anything you don't like?
Not really.
Because the expectations are low, right? It's just make a whole bunch of pretty good moves. They're going to build through the draft.
Yeah.
There's nothing glaring that the Lions have needed to do or need to do.
I maybe would have liked to see them invest heavily somewhere at corner or wide receiver. Like that's what this year is supposed to be, right? Trenches last year, corner, wide receiver this year, quarterback fits in somewhere at the end of the puzzle. I think DJ Chark is a good gamble to take. They re-signed Khalif Raymond. They're presumably going to hit the draft on those spots as well. But one investment, it feels like, right? Could you be the team? Allen Robinson might not be the guy just because of his age, but could you be the team that brings in one, pretty high spend that's a guaranteed starter somewhere? Now, to their credit or in their defense, when you look at the wide receiver market, it's disappearing, right? Like Allen Robinson is the guy, and he's 28 at this point. I can see you not wanting to get into that. Same with cornerback. Like if J.C. Jackson disappears and Carlton Davis was re-signed, all of a sudden you're kind of running low on those guaranteed guys. But I would have liked to have seen an investment somewhere there.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, again, not much I don't like about the Lions. And look, they're kind of playing those markets, right? And I think if the next move would be pouncing on the cheap cornerback options, the cheap wide receiver options. Minnesota Vikings, What do you like as we round out the NFC North?
I mean,
Johnny Munt?
Johnny Munt. Jordan Hicks is not a bad signing for 2 years, $10 million.
Yep, I agree. Good value there for Hicks. Like a lot of linebackers, the production tends to fluctuate a little bit. I mean, it's just the reality of the position, but a guy that's had a lot of success through recent years, and I think those are the types of moves that you kind of, continue to work in. What don't you like about the Vikings?
I mean, extending Kirk Cousins is one thing if it's just there to free up some salary cap space and give you some more flexibility for right now. That's fine. You might just be in a position where you had to do that. And if it costs you guaranteed money, again, kind of fine. Adding the no trade clause in there, why? Why add a no trade clause in there? All you're doing is making your life harder.
Yeah, I don't get it because you're either buying into Kirk,
which is bad.
You're either buying into Kirk as your guy, or you're going to use him as an asset where someone else is really going to covet him. And if you've limited your options to then trade him, then yeah.
And specifically, like putting in the no trade simply takes one of those off the table, which can't be a good thing. Like again, unless this was a thing of like Kirk Cousins is only going to give you this salary cap release if you give him a no trade clause, which it doesn't sound like it was. If that was the way it went down, fine. You might just be in a situation where you have to live with that. But if you gave him this with nothing coming back, like, why? All you did is make your life, you just took options off the table for somebody that you're not sold on.
So losing Cousins leverage, we would say.
Yeah, losing the ability to trade Cousins in a way that he doesn't endorse. It's just not.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Not good.
All right, let's go to the NFC South. It could be hard. Not how hard could it be in the AFC South? Atlanta Falcons. Likes and don't likes with the Falcons. Find out if they get Deshaun Watson here soon.
Yeah. Well, they haven't done much.
They extended Jake Matthews.
Okay.
Left tackle. That's it. It's the best and worst move they've done.
Fine.
Are they another team? So are the Falcons in a complete rebuild like the Texans? We're using the Texans baseline here. The Texans are signing every player to 1 and 2 year deals. The Falcons are signing no players, but the Falcons have, other than Matt Ryan, the Falcons have a similar roster as the Texans right now.
I don't know what.
Should they be signing those players to fill out their roster, or are they playing it right, which is like, all right, let's just let whatever is on our roster continue to develop and let's build through the draft?
From the moment that the new regime came in Atlanta, I don't quite understand what they've been doing. Remember, they immediately came in, you're like, oh, are they going to be in full rebuild, get rid of Julio, get rid of Matt Ryan, like point this thing in a completely different direction? And they did the reworking of Matt Ryan's contract. And from that point on, it's been like, oh, well, they're stuck with him now. And now, well, like, what the hell do you do? You're in this weird position of now you're saddled with this quarterback earning a ton of money and hamstringing you from going full rebuild, which every other aspect of this roster suggests you should be in. And they're kind of still there. And then they make it even more complicated this offseason by all of a sudden getting into the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, which I thought initially had to be bullshit. Like, had to be simply driving up the price for New Orleans or Carolina. And maybe it still is, but it is being reported that they're like one of the finalists in this whole thing, right? Cleveland has been told, sorry, no, get out of here, right? Your tributes to the guy on his throne have not been good enough, and we've sent you packing. We were only interested in the other guys that remain. But Atlanta are like one of the finalists, apparently. I still don't understand. It makes no sense. So the move I don't like is getting into the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes at all, because how can you even make that happen? And you're still stuck with Matt Ryan. And I mean, just the overall direction. What are they doing?
The roster is going to be tough if they're going to have that much dead money. If they do get Watson, have that much dead money, they have no receivers left. I mean, that's what do I not like? They have no receivers left.
Right.
Calvin Ridley's been suspended and was going to be potentially traded anyway, so Atlanta kind of gets screwed there, I would say. Turns out the Julio move was great because he's already been released by the Tennessee Titans. The Falcons got a second rounder for that. But they lose Russell Gage in free agency. What's their depth chart right now? Frank Darby?
I mean, Kyle Pitts is their number one receiver
right,
and their only receiver, effectively.
Austin Trammell,
Wow.
Chad Hansen. Chad Hansen's really
Still around.
Has he been on more teams than Josh Johnson?
No.
Oh, he's catching up. Can we get some Chad Hansen research in here? Is he catching up to Josh Johnson? Anyway, the Falcons, what I don't like is they still don't have many good players.
Yeah.
So they just have a lot of work to do, and I think maybe they've hamstrung themselves a little bit more with the Matt Ryan stuff. Mm-hmm. And what do we like? Re-up and Jake Matthews, because that was the move that they made on the offensive line. Carolina Panthers.
Yeah. Austin Corbett. Good move.
Austin Corbett's the best move.
Like it.
Agree. So they did upgrade at guard with Corbett. 3 years, just under $30 million. I think that's a pretty good that's fine. That's a pretty good price for him.
Yeah.
Xavier Woods, pretty good move, I think.
Yeah.
At safety, 3 years, $15.75 million. So I think most of the moves have been fine. They signed Rashard Higgins.
Good move. Always a good move.
So I like a few of those moves by the Panthers. That's fine. What do we not like about the Panthers?
Who's the quarterback?
Still don't know who the quarterback is. I mean, they're working on it. They're wheeling and dealing.
Are they?
For Deshaun.
Where are the wheeling and dealing? Yeah,
they're in the Deshaun sweepstakes.
God, I can't find it in me to think that that's a good move though. Just,
Going back to the Commanders thing, would they have been in on Deshaun, or do you think they just said no?
I mean,
because did they just go Wentz and say we're not going to be in on Deshaun, or would they be in it?
I do wonder if of all the franchises, Washington is the one.
That's they shouldn't even.
We can't possibly get into this, given.
So they kind of had to.
Yeah, like investigations about the franchise. All these allegations that have come out about like the culture, et cetera, beforehand. Right. That's the team that's going to get. I got to think that there was a meeting somewhere where they brought it up and somebody kicked it around as an idea and they went, we can't. We just can't get into this. And
that's probably smart. Look, I know it's a touchy subject and it should be for a lot of people as far as the Watson stuff. And it's a little rough to discuss through the lens of football, through the lens of off-field and everything that's happening. As far as the Panthers go, so yeah, uncertainty at quarterback, certainly. And they just didn't do what the Bengals did. They didn't get one more guard. They didn't get one more offensive lineman, right? They didn't get another player to shore things up front, I would say. The thing I don't like and the thing that they could still do.
Yeah.
Who's next? New Orleans Saints. They haven't done much either. They're just waiting.
They cleared cap space, a lot of it.
They've cleared a lot of cap space.
That's their primary approach so far.
That was anticipated. But again, a lot of people are like, oh, the cap's not real and all this. I mean, you can't. They couldn't retain Marcus Williams again. They couldn't retain Teron Armstead, most likely. Yet. But they've cleared their cap space. They haven't done much. They re-signed Lil Jordan Humphrey and tendered Shy Tuttle to bring them back. Anything you don't like about the Saints? Likes and don't likes, there's not much to take a look at.
Yeah, there really isn't much to talk about generally. I mean, they just haven't done much.
I think their fallback option, by the way, will be Jameis, right? They'll find a way to just bring Jameis back with familiarity.
I mean, it doesn't appear finding a way. It doesn't. He'll be there, and if they offer him a job, nobody else appears to be willing to. So yes, what you like that they cleared all the cap space again. What you don't like. I'm just not in love with anybody getting into the Deshaun Watson business. I don't love that they appear to be happy to let Teron Armstead walk because at some point the Saints' offensive line used to be the strength of that offense, obviously with Drew Brees. And you get rid of Armstead if he walks. The interior is already kind of falling apart. They just haven't done a good job of replacing that as the years have gone on. And that kind of leaves you at Ryan Ramczyk and a bunch of guys trying to patch it together. I mean, that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, I agree. The offensive line will need some work, certainly, with Armstead going. And you finally hit that tipping point with that incredible 2017 draft class that the Saints have. All those guys are getting paid, and a lot of guys elsewhere, right? So work to do on the Saints roster is just slowly getting a little bit worse, I think, as you look at it. Oh, they brought in Marcus May, too.
Yes.
We missed that one. Sorry. I like that move.
Yeah.
There's a little risk there. May's play's been a little uneven the last couple of years, but I like him as a player. I think he'll fit in well in that scheme. They'll do some good things with him. Mm-hmm. Tampa Bay Bucks. What do you like? What do you like about what Tom Brady's done there?
I like them bringing back Tom Brady. I think that's a good move for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the year 2022.
You think so?
Yeah.
Even though he's going to be 45.
Mm-hmm. I think it'll work out.
Russell Gage, your next favorite move there?
I like most of the moves they've made, to be honest. Like, obviously, Tom Brady is the catalyst, the spark that catalyzed it all. But as soon as the Tom Brady thing happens, Ryan Jensen comes back. Chris Godwin re-signs. Carlton Davis re-signs. Russell Gage comes on board. They get Shaq Mason for a 5th-round pick, which is a steal.
That's the best, like, individual move
like, the
made.
only thing that they haven't been able to achieve with Brady coming back is Ali Marpet won't unretire yet. And I still wouldn't close the door on that. So
that would be
everything's gone well so far.
Really good for them,
right?
If they didn't have to deal with the other guard spot.
Yep.
You know, as far as there's really not much to not like. I like the Russell Gage, Chris Godwin insurance and all that stuff is fantastic. Even just bringing back like a guy like Rashad Perryman as a deep threat, let him compete with Cyril Grayson and Scotty Miller as the next deep threat, and battle it out in camp, see who comes out of it. All good stuff. Anything to not like or. I mean, for me, the big question mark is going to be defensive line depth. Jason Pierre-Paul, a free agent, William Golston, and Ndamukong Suh. They're going to have work to do up front there.
Yeah, sure. I mean, they do have work to do. This is not a complete roster the way it might have been a year ago. They have some holes that they need to address to make sure that they can contend for Super Bowl, but so far so good, I would say.
Also, don't like that they haven't brought Gronk back yet. So
Yet being key, though.
Yeah. Is that everybody in the NFC South?
Yes.
Are we on to the West? Is this our last division?
Yeah.
Let us know if we've forgotten your team.
Or division.
Arizona Cardinals, NFC West. What do you like, Sam?
I like that they brought back not one, but both of their tight ends. I was saying beforehand that if they brought back either one of those guys, it would be a good move. Zach Ertz was a really good player for them last season. Once Max Williams went down, they had to trade for him. And they've ended up bringing both of them back. So, all for it. I think those are both great moves.
I know the NCAA tournament has started, but do not leave us, all right? We're not going to we're competing. We're going head-to-head with the tournament. I'm not scared. I am not scared. Our ratings will not take a hit just because the tournament's on.
All right.
Yeah, I agree with you on the tight end situation. I like that they brought back the Barbarian. Dennis Gardeck. Love that guy.
That's my favorite. That is
undersized pass rusher. He had like a 90 grade 2 years ago on 7 rushes. The dude can get after it.
If you've been paying attention to the insiders, to the news people, essentially anything that an agent sends these people is now being immediately copied and pasted and tweeted out there as the news, right? My favorite piece of just lifted news was the news that Dennis and then the Barbarian Gardeck has re-signed with the Arizona Cardinals. Like, I've been saying for a while that I think agents, if they don't, they should have a pool on like who can make the news guy, the insider, tweet the most ridiculous thing. And if that was the pool, that wins, right? Somebody got the insider to tweet Dennis the Barbarian Gardeck as a genuine piece of news that went out. I'll give you the breaking news, but you got to tweet the Barbarian. You got to say his nickname.
That's not even a bit like they'll do anything. Of course, the insiders are going to do that. They'll do anything to get the scoop, even if it is the Barbarian. So love that from Arizona. What don't we like about the Cardinals so far? By the way, they also brought in Jeff Gladney just to take a shot at that. And the thing I was going to say I don't like is
who got cleared of all of his. Yeah. So he got initially arrested and charged for domestic violence, domestic battery, whatever it was. The Vikings immediately cut him as a first round pick. So a not insignificant sort of statement that, oh, no, we're out. He just got cleared of that. Now, honestly, I haven't looked too closely into that case, and I don't know if this is a thing of like just insufficient evidence, something definitely went down, or if this is like the dude has been a victim of somebody making up bullshit. I honestly do not know. So I'm not making any moral judgments on it one way or the other. But I will say that taking a shot on a guy that was a first-round pick and is now legally in the clear is not a bad idea from a football standpoint.
Right. Well said. That's how I would say it as well. What don't we like about the Cardinals so far?
With the running back thing. We hit this yesterday's show, right?
James Conner.
Yeah.
He goes from awesome, cheap running back to $7 million a year running back.
And he's the perfect case study for why you just don't need to make that deal. Like, the fact that he was able to come in as a reclamation project and do what he did last year should show you that you don't need to pay a running back $7 million a year to do that.
And honestly, I talk about this all the time. Each team has their own advantages to build up player value as well and then capitalize on it when they capitalize on it in the open market. Arizona has showed within this Cliff Kingsbury system, they have built productive running backs.
Yeah.
Right? Kenyon Drake, James Conner, and just Chase Edmonds, whoever you put in there is going to be productive, score touchdowns if you're going to move the ball and all that stuff, so you can have this revolving door of running back in this system.
The learning point from last year is not, we found something in James Conner. It's no, we have an environment where a running back can actually succeed and produce. And by the way, if you look at his average, it's not great. He just scored a ton of touchdowns because you gave him the ball in good situations.
Right.
That's the teaching point from this. It's not, look, we discovered James Conner, now we have to pay him money. No, you just discovered an environment where a running back can get double-digit touchdowns and roll on.
Teams need to leverage that more, your ability to create production from players on the cheap. And then for me, it's just the wide receiver uncertainty and cornerback uncertainty too, even with Gladney in the mix. Those are going to be make or break for Arizona.
You got to replace an elite $80 million receiver like Christian Kirk.
That's true. I mean, you replaced the best player in the NFL.
The best receiver the Jags have ever seen.
Man, they should get a first-round comp pick for the Christian Kirk contract, right? That's what they should. They should change the comp pick just for the contract for Kirk. Who else is in the NFC West? The Los Angeles Rams.
Who else is in the NFC West?
Yeah. Well, I was trying to think alphabetically, so you have to think about all. You have to put all 4 teams into your mind, and then you have to alphabetize them in your mind on the fly, because we're on a sheet that's alphabetical for the entire NFL, because that's what you told me to work off of.
Yeah.
That's where we are.
Okay.
Rams.
I guess the one I like the most has got to be re-signing Brian Allen. They needed to make sure their offensive line didn't disintegrate this offseason, which it could have done given how many players they were scheduled to lose. So bringing back Brian Allen, 3 years, $24 million, decent move, done.
Yeah, I'll have to agree on Allen. I mean, they haven't made a ton of moves. Releasing Johnny Hecker, it's tough. The great Hecker.
Pour one out.
Did McAfee broke that news, right?
Yeah, I think
Does
so.
he have it set up so he breaks all the punters?
I would imagine, all punters just text McAfee and here's what's happening.
I mean, he's
the
got
brand.
He's got the most viewers anyway.
Right.
So, hashtag for the brand, Johnny Hecker released. Nope. So I'm with you on Brian Allen as the best deal. Joseph Nope. I'm picking up all their comp picks. It's another good season move that they did last year. Note boom. Where are you on that move? That feels.
I don't want to make it the thing that I disliked. I don't like the money. I mean, 3 years, $40 million is a lot for.
It's the riskiest, I would say.
So look, Whitworth's retiring, right? They knew that. He was talking to his kids and lying on the field in the Super Bowl with the confetti raining down, like this is Daddy's last football game. I'm out, right? So the Rams knew that. So retaining Noteboom, I think, was an important step for their offseason. And I actually think that it has the potential to be a really nice move for them. He had really good pass blocking grades last season in the few games where he got to start at left tackle, looked very good, and looks like he should be a good left tackle going forward. But it's such a tiny sample size of play, and it's like the projection we're doing here is massive. And it's one thing to be prepared to take that gamble just to be the starter, right? For us to be okay with you being our starting left tackle going forward is a gamble itself. For us to magnify that by paying you $40 million to do it is a different thing. Again, so I don't want to make it the move I hate, but I can't love it at that money.
To reiterate for the 900th time, offensive line development happens a lot in year 3 and 4. In Noteboom's case, a classic player that can do that. Only 1,300 career snaps, and it looked like he started the development curve on its way in the right direction last year. The question is that worth more like $8 million a year, or is it worth over $13 million a year, right? So that's where I think there's some risk. Could easily pay off, and I don't know what the rest of his market was. I don't know if the rest of the NFL was coveting Noteboom.
Was played in different positions like earlier in his career, so he hasn't had that much time at left tackle, which is where he's supposed to be.
He's played guard, he's played left tackle, played right tackle. He's been all over the place. So I think that's just probably the riskiest one. And then the other one is, you're losing Von Miller. You're losing players. Whitworth, right? You have to replace him with Noteboom. So the roster still needs some work. You got to hit in some draft picks. San Francisco 49ers.
Another team that's done very little. I don't hate Trevarius Ward. I think they needed cornerbacks. We just talked about how the cornerback market is not the strongest thing in the world. This free agency. Once J.C. Jackson, once Carlton Davis are off the market, you're not long in really high-level quality starter options. So Charvarius Ward, 3 years, $40 million-ish. Fine. Don't hate it.
I like the Ward move. Again, I think he was one of the best press man corners. I don't know if the Niners are going to play as much press, but he had some flexibility there. Text from an NFL source. This is breaking news. These QBs are pretty brutal, huh?
Yeah. yeah, they are.
Breaking news on the NFL. If you want to, that's our draft take for the day.
Done.
Yeah, so I like Charvarius Ward for the Niners. I'm curious to see how they use him, if they take advantage of his skill set. Yeah, they haven't done a whole lot else. I love Oren Burks.
Of course
he was my first love in PFF college. My first love. The first game I ever graded in 2014.
2 years, $5 million is good money for
That's
Oren
good
Burks.
for Oren Burks. This is his breakout year. Never graded well at the NFL level.
I mean, given that man's tape, that's a lot of money for every.
This is the year. But yeah, my first love when he played safety at Vanderbilt in 2014.
Okay.
And then became an edge and then a linebacker. He's done it all. He's very versatile. He's just not great at anything.
They released Kentavious Street, who was a guy that I liked in college before he tore his knee up. And
So there
then
you go.
never really looked like the same player again.
Is that your least favorite 49ers move?
Yeah, because they cut the guy that I loved back in the day but isn't any good anymore.
Least favorite move, not trading for Tom Brady and letting Tom finish his career in San Francisco.
Or simply failing to have traded away Jimmy G at this point.
Yeah.
At some point, I don't know if the market just isn't there for Jimmy G and they're going to have to make a decision about what do you do?
Is that better or worse, though, if it's like the Colts and the Panthers, right? And it's down to the two most desperate teams. Because the alternative is these QBs are pretty brutal, huh?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, look, they traded everything for Trey Lance to be the starter. And for this team to not be fully on board or already on that train and, you know, the hyping up Trey Lance and just seeming 100% when committed to Trey Lance going forward it's a little bit concerning. So I understand that you're kind of saddled with Jimmy G at the moment. His contract is there. You have him. He's an asset. So you kind of have to roll with that for a bit. But the quicker they can turn the page on that and just embrace Trey Lance as this starting quarterback, the better, I think, for that team.
The only other thing I'd say, too, you know, replacing Laken Tomlinson at guard, you know, there's a couple holes along the roster on the offensive line. We mentioned the secondary. Ward helps certainly there. Might be some more work to do on the back end as well. So that's about it for the Niners because they haven't done a ton just yet.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle Seahawks. What do you like? Or do you want to start with what you don't like?
Well, not what you don't like is easier, right? Because Sidney Jones for 1 year, very low amount of money is a good move. He's a capable corner for them. They don't have many capable corners because they let everybody else leave. So I think that's decent. I think the Quandre Diggs one is interesting because in a vacuum, it's good. But with the context, if you've already got all this money tied up in Jamal Adams, probably not good. So I'm not quite sure what to make of that one.
That was 3 years, $40 million for Quandre.
And if you just told me, like, hey, somebody signed Quandre Diggs 3 years, $40 million, the end, you'd be like, okay, good move. I like that. He's a good player. He's a valuable leader in that team. Like, that's good. But it's like now you have all of the money and all of your draft picks tied up in Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs. You're like, yeah.
Yeah, I could say, yeah, that's tough. I mean, look, I think the thing I like is what you said, Sidney Jones for $3.6 million for 1 year, right? Sidney Jones can be a solid corner. I make that move all the time. There's more moves to be made at corner, but
the Falcons just made we got a new thing I liked most for the Falcons. They're signing Casey Hayward to a 2-year, $11 million contract.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So that's their best move so far.
Good job, Falcons. I thought you were going to say Matt Ioannidis.
No.
Maybe that's
that
next.
will obviously be my favorite move for whatever team signs.
What if one team just signed all your favorite players?
I mean, then
David Mayo.
They'd be my favorite team.
We do need to have a show where we just go position by position with our favorites, our special favorites. Okay. What else do we like? I kind of like. I'm a little torn on Uchenna and Nwosu. Like 2 years, $20 million is not bad. Again, I was just saying, you know, the Dolphins overpaid for Emmanuel Ogbah and the Titans overpaid for Harold Landry. When a guy like Nwosu can make $10 million a year over 2 years, I think that's probably better value. As far as edge goes, he's explosive. He can drop into coverage, bring some versatility.
Austin Blythe is also a decent move. Hits an area of need, takes a player away from
That's center.
from division.
All right, so there's some sneaky good moves. My my big question mark is, where are you, right? The thing I don't like is I don't know where the Seahawks are, right? Are you in a complete rebuild? Are they trying to compete? They're already doing this whole like talking up Drew Lock type of stuff, which is fine. Like I get it that teams do that, but I never know if it's like we're really believing in Drew Lock or we're talking ourselves into
There's
Drew
nothing
Lock.
else you can do. Like,
or it's like we're going to draft somebody, but for now we're going to talk up Drew Lock.
You don't have an option. Like you can't roll in there and be like, yeah, I mean, look, let's be honest here, guys. Drew Lock's been crappy in the NFL, but that is what we've got. So let's go.
But like 2 years ago, like New England Patriots media, it was like, all right, I guess I got to do the Jarrett Stidham film breakdown. Let me show you the things he did. You know, and it's like, all right, you don't need to talk yourself into it because the Patriots don't even believe in him. So I don't know where this really stands with Drew Lock. I don't like bringing back Will Dissly for all that money.
Yeah, that's silly.
As a number 2 tight end.
That's bad. 3 years, $24 million is nuts for Will Dissly.
As a compliment to Noah Fant. Again, like all these moves, that doesn't look good even if Russell Wilson's on the team.
Yes.
But when you have at least a quarterback in place, you can kind of see like all the peripheral moves, periphery moves.
We cut Bobby Wagner because he's in line for his salary cap hit was what, $16 million, something like that. He was in line for big money.
Yeah.
Big-ish. And then you're going to like, okay, so that gives you some flexibility in the salary cap. And you're going to use that to sign Will Dissly to a 3-year, $24 million contract? Like that just doesn't add up. So I don't like signing Will Dissly. I don't like releasing Bobby Wagner. I don't hate trading away Russell Wilson. I think we had reached the point where that kind of made some sense to blow it all up and start over. So obviously anytime you trade away an elite quarterback, you're not getting better. They have gotten worse, but the idea is you get worse, you hit rock bottom, you build it all back again, and let's see how they do with that. So I don't hate the realization that we have come to the point where we needed to press detonate and watch this whole thing collapse and then rebuild.
Did you see some of the quotes coming out of Seattle's camp?
I saw the tweets like thanking him.
Yeah, I mean, so there was a lot of like, what are you looking for in a quarterback too? You know, for Pete Carroll, he's mentioned in a point guard, somebody to distribute it, make good decisions, hit open receivers. I'm not looking into that further. I don't think he was saying like, these are things Russ didn't do that we are looking for. But I used to say this about Belichick, right? Who only had one QB his whole Patriots life. What is Bill Belichick looking for in the next QB? Pete Carroll's only really had Russ. They took stabs at all these other guys, Whitehurst and all that stuff. But he's only really had Russ, found his guy. What's he looking for in the next guy? And that's fascinating to me, being able to kind of like get into their brain, him and John Schneider, and what's the next guy. I don't think it's Drew Lock. I think that happened to be the quarterback of the team that they were trading with. Maybe it is. But who's the guy in the draft? It's like Kenny Pickett.
And
Kenny Pickett's going to be my point guard distributor. That's the guy we love.
They're running out of alternate veteran options because Kirk Cousins got off the market with the no trade clause. Jimmy G's within the division. That's not happening. Like,
Jimmy G would probably fit the description that Pete Carroll just
but what
said.
We're running out of potential alternatives in the NFL. Like Seattle is the team that might have to turn to the draft and be like, all right, who do we like the best at number 9 overall? Because that's what we got to roll with.
And if Pete was doubling down on, we got to take care of the ball, we got to run it, and we got to do all these different things. So who is that guy? You know, and do they have an opportunity to run the offense that Pete really wants to run because he's not, you know, trying to appease an actual really good quarterback, right? So that'll be fascinating to see in Seattle. So there are some moves to like. For me, though, the disconnect between are you rebuilding, are you trying to compete? Because there's a lot of like trying to compete moves in there when I think there's bigger things that still need to be fixed in Seattle. I think that's every team.
Yeah.
Let's do a quick view. Gosh, this page is monstrous.
Yeah, it's a long page.
Arizona, Atlanta, Baltimore, Buffalo, Carolina. I'll just read them all out.
It's great
Is this great podcasting right here?
Yeah.
We did the Jets, like 3 hours ago. Patriots, 7 hours ago. I think we hit every team. If we forgot that, Tyler says we got them all. Thank you. Our time stampers. We'll have timestamps, I promise, at some point. We appreciate everybody tuning in. This is our Thursday show. Next week, we got to have a mock draft, Sam.
Yeah.
We got to have a mock draft Monday, I think. Post free agent. Timestamps are already posted. Our guys are dominating right now. We don't have to have all. We're going to lose half our comments asking for timestamps. So thanks to everybody for tuning in. We'll be back Monday, probably doing a little post free agency mock. And don't forget, you get 30% off using Free Agency 30. And then go check out our pinned tweets. You can donate to our respective charity drives. What are you doing for St. Paddy's Day?
The same thing I do every day, Steve.
It's not like a big celebration.
You know, work, go home, do more work.
No green top hat or anything like that?
No.
Nothing. No. All right. Very festive. Very festive.
Yeah.
Thanks to everybody for tuning in. We'll see you Monday.